Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man, Mark Black. Welcome. Welcome all of you to Sucka-Free Saturday. I am glad to have you. Thank you for taking the time to join me today, to bring your eyeballs, your hearts, your minds. Hopefully, I'm worthy of it. Before we get started, just a few quick things here, as usual. Salam, Ibrahim, welcome to the broadcast, fam. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that there are links in the description field of every video to reports, resources to help you to get up on your advocacy for your tribe. Please make sure to check those out. They cost you nothing. I add to and take away. There's also links to books and things like that to help you research, to understand not only, that we need to fight, but why we need to fight. Right? So make sure you check out those links there. Also, there are links there to support my work. I'm going to discuss a little bit more about that at the end of the broadcast. So I'm not going to touch a whole lot on that right now, but I just wanted to let you know that they're there. If you find anything that I say worthy, if you feel it as if you get something, there's the super chat button. I also respond to super chats. So if you have something that you want me to say or address particularly, that's the way to go about it. Contribute what you're able, fam. No, I'm not, no pocket watching, no shame in here, right? If you have something specific that you want me to address or say during the broadcast, use the super chat and it will definitely be appreciated. So with that said, this broadcast is going to be a two-parter. Okay, the first part I'm going to try to make as brief as possible because the second part to me is the worthier part. All right. As you all know, in my last broadcast, fam, I went over in detail Mr. Nasheed's code status, right? Whether or not he's on code. And I think that I clearly established that he was not. I also, as a proponent of ADOS, have called us ADOS folk to the carpet for some behaviors and ideas and actions that we seem to be practicing that are off-putting, that are quite frankly disrespectful, and so on and so forth. However, upon further review, I realized that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If I'm able to treat Mr. Nasheed with the treatment that I did, right? And I think I was fair. I let him be indicted or not by his own words, by his own claims, his own actions, right? I think that if I'm going to be fair, I need to apply the same standard to every personality involved in the conflict across the board. Because let's be frank, family, right? This is us talking. We're the boots on the ground, the soldiers, right? We're the hoi polloi, right? The masses. Okay? I'm not a personality. I barely consider myself an influencer. I consider you all more the influence for what I do than the other way around, right? So let's speak plainly. The fuckery that we've seen over the last week has been driven by these people that we all have started to see as personalities. Whether you rep FBA, right, or you rep ADOS. And I hate using a term because it makes it feel like it's some sort of East Coast, West Coast gangster war beef or some shit like that, right? But no matter which acronym you felt a draw to, right, what we all need to understand is that it has been our voices truly that have driven the whole dynamic. Now, what I mean is this. These personalities have various issues with each other, right? Yvette's got issues with Tariq. Tariq's got issues with Tone. Tone got issues with what it seems like everybody, right? Pause. Before I even get into it, first of all, I want to do something that I think is long overdue by most ADOS advocates. And I want to give a shout out to all of the people who came before us, successful or unsuccessful, that have put forward the ideas, who have asked us to do the work, right? I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson, right? The man has been a damn colossus, right, in fighting for our justice claim for decades, right? And one could argue the degree of his success, right? The brother is human. He has made mistakes. We can debate the order of some of the things that he's espoused that we should do. But it is, in my opinion, the height of disrespect to act as if he's done nothing, right? For those of you who are my DOAS brothers and sisters, shout out to Brother Norris Shelton. I actually started doing a little bit of study on his work. His America's Little Black Book, I actually intend to pick it up and check it out. First of all, I think the brother looks absolutely regal. I know that's superficial and facile, but he's a good-looking gentleman. He's an epitome of what black manhood looks like to me. When I imagine myself getting old, I hope that I look half as good as the brother Norris Shelton. But he also stood up and said, hey, we are our own people. We are our own ethnic group, right? And he's not the only one. There have been many others, even long before Norris Shelton, who brought out the idea of us treating ourselves as a newly created ethnic group here in the United States of America, right? So shout out to Norris Shelton, right? Shout out to Callie House. You know, shout out to all of these greats, these giants on whose shoulders we stand as we move forward to press home the greatest justice claim the world has ever seen. Shout out to MLK, right? MLK also, in Where Do We Go From Here, said that we are descendants of slaves, right? We don't need to overlook the work of others in order to advance our own, right? I have issues with some of the stances that groups like Cobra and others have taken with trying to expand our justice claim to every black person, but still shout out to them as well. They have seen with their own eyes the need to press home justice here in the United States of America. And we can argue their effectiveness. We can have debates about their tactics and strategies or lack thereof. But what we can't say is that they haven't had the ideas, that they didn't do the work. Matter of fact, shout out to everybody who stood up for reparations for our people, for fighting to press home this justice claim. Shout out to all of them. So now that I've shouted out all of the legends, the ancestors, the ones who came before, successful or not, can we get down to doing the work is the most important question. Right? Give them honor. Show respect where it's due. But the work still remains. You feel me, fam? Let's get down to business. This ain't about personalities and people. It's about our lineage. And it's about what is needed for us to move forward. Not left, not right, forward. To borrow a phrase from Andrew Yang, right? We don't have time to be sidestepping and dodging and dealing with people's personalities and foibles and flaws, right? I want to give a special shout out to Yvette. I want to give a special shout out to Tone. Wait, sorry. Guess I can't do that. I've been blocked. Right? And I'm not going to sit here and shade the man, to be honest, because unlike many of you who have been blocked by Antonio Moore, I actually earned mine. I went on to one of his most recent posts and I was real petty. Okay? I admit it. I was petty because, and I'm going to go into it right now. There was a reason why I was petty. So, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this broadcast, yes, fam, I am actually a member of a growing group of individuals that Antonio does not desire to be accountable to, right? So just as I asked questions regarding Mr. Nasheed, it is only fair that I ask questions regarding Yvette and Antonio. And I'm not here for your partisanship, fam. I'm not here to rep ADOS. Yeah, Thomas, I deserve. He said, you deserve that block, though. Yes, I did. I did. I absolutely deserved it. I'll be the first. I'll be the first one to admit I was petty. Now, I don't throw rocks and hide my hand. I will actually explain to you all why I was petty, right? I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't earn my block. But seeing some of the people that I know he has blocked and understanding the reasons why they were blocked, I have to say I sit among good company. Just keeping it a full-ass buck. So with that, fam, I'm going to ask just 4 questions, right? I don't expect Yvette and Tone to answer them. And I am not asking these questions of their partisans. I don't need people who rep ADOS to answer these questions, because these people have held themselves out to be founders, leaders, influencers. So I think that as founders, leaders, and influencers, I, as a person of the people, as a member of the tribe, have every right to ask them questions and demand that they answer them. They either are accountable to us or they are not. And if they are not accountable to us, then they are not leaders. They are dictators. That's just simple logic, fam. All right? So the first question that I want to ask is, why were we not told about the purpose of the 14th Amendment in relation to the Civil Rights Act of 1866? Let me elaborate. So here we are as ADOS actives, right? As the activist wing of ADOS. And we are being told by Yvette and Tone that we need to work to prevent the Supreme Court, through the case of Comcast versus Entertainment Studios Incorporated, from eroding away the benefits of the Civil Rights Act of 1866 as enshrined in Title 42, United States Code, Section 1981. Okay? But for us to be driven by the data, wouldn't we need to know that although the Supreme Court can interpret in a way that would be deleterious or problematic for us, Section 1981 of the United States Code, that because the 14th Amendment of the Constitution contains essentially the same verbiage and it supersedes the USC, that would be more important, right? That, in other words, that we should know that, yes, while this is problematic, this is not the end all or the complete removal or the complete rollback of our civil rights, because our civil rights are enshrined in the Constitution of the United States via the 14th Amendment. Why were we not told this? Why was it so hyperbolic? Do you understand? Right? Thomas, it is true. We were not told this. Point me out to a single video where Antonio or Yvette referenced the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. It's a simple question. This was not done. This was not mentioned. The way that it has been proposed to us or brought to us was that this was part of the greatest push to erode our civil rights in modern day time. And it just wasn't. Not to say that it wasn't important. Not to say that it wasn't something that we should keep our eye on, that we should be interested in. But this was not and is not the greater threat that we face. If we were looking at a reinterpretation of the 14th Amendment, then yes, I could see us standing up en masse and spending every bit of political capital we have in order to defend that. The Constitution supersedes any other United States law. And this is basic legal understanding. I'm just a trained paralegal. I'm not a lawyer. And for those of us who are wondering if perhaps maybe it was an attempt to make it easy to explain or whatever the case may be, I can't buy that. Because in point of fact, one of the things that we are taught as proponents of ADOS is that you can't dumb it down. You need to have a full understanding so that you're able to effectively advocate in this space. As a matter of fact, fam, we are constantly told by other ADOS partisans that we don't know enough. That if we ask what seems to me to be basic questions on a lot of different things, we're told to go back and watch a video. And it doesn't matter that sometimes understanding may be the matter of a single word that's different or out of place, right? But we're told to watch the same stuff over and over again, whether we get it or not. So you can't have your cake and eat it too, fam. You can't say that they attempted to dumb this down so that we understand it, but then tell us that we don't know enough because we didn't study it. It makes no sense. This is a valid question. Why were we not told that this, while it is important, is not necessarily this world-ending threat that some of the rhetoric made it seem like? We backburnered a lot of other advocacy that we could have been on to push this home, right? To be out there on the steps of the Supreme Court, to blast politicos and so on and so forth, right? Was that political capital that we expended worth what actually will be the effects, either deleterious or beneficial, of the Supreme Court's decision on this particular matter? That's a valid question, and one that I believe Yvette and Tone can answer. We don't need the partisans to answer this. Fam, I don't need y'all to defend them, and they don't need to defend themselves. Part of the reason why we all support them and believe in them is because we believe that they have some degree of facility with the questions that are being asked. And by shunting us off, deflecting us, telling us that we don't know enough to study more, or blocking us outright, is not showing any sign of answering these questions. Here's my second question for Ms. Carnell and Mr. Moore. We have been told repeatedly that this isn't about Byron Allen. Yet we have had him repeatedly in our faces. Now we see Antonio broadcasting on the Griot. Has there been a quid pro quo that we're not privy to? I am not making any accusations. What I have just said is clearly established by evidence. We're told that this is not about Byron Allen. This is bigger than Byron Allen, right? What about your civil rights, though, right? The whole 9 yards. Yet we consistently see him in our faces as ADOS proponents and supporters. When he showed up at the Supreme Court, on the steps of the Supreme Court, the day that the justices heard the case. No, Tone has just recently been on the Griot. Tone hasn't been featured on the Griot. This is only a recent thing that we've seen now, Tone broadcasting on the Griot. If it sounds like an accusation, I don't know what to tell you. It's a question, and a question I believe that it would be easy to answer, right? I mean, we never saw Tone on the Griot. The Griot's owned by Byron Allen, by the way, right? Okay, so we never saw Tone on the Griot, right? And now he's doing regular little spots and things like that on the Griot. Okay, that's fine, right? But we're not told that this is about Byron Allen or anything at all, right? So is there a quid pro quo that Yvette or Tone or both have received for pledging our political capital in support for Byron Allen and his claim before the Supreme Court? That is a valid question. That is a valid question. Here's another valid question. Okay, so let's say that Mark Black is on some old conspiracy theory shit. All right, pardon my language, fam. I'm trying to keep it professional. But let's say that I'm on some Byron Allen, conspiracy theory crap. Okay, right? And Tone has been on the griot forever, so on and so forth in the month of Sundays. Okay. Now that Antonio has been on the griot, where have we seen a single broadcast where reparations was the only topic discussed? Why is it that, and I will be the first one to admit, I do not follow the griot like that. So I can't say that Antonio's ever done it, but I think it's a worthy question. Where have been the broadcasts with Antonio Moore featured by the griot that speaks on our justice claim? Now, there are those of you who can say that we might see it, that we may see it in the future, and that's perfectly fine. But I think that it's a worthy question to ask that we have not seen it up till now. So he has the spot on the griot, a friendly, quote unquote, forum. It is what it is, right? I would like to see the evidence, and you guys feel free to pop it in the chat or shoot me something via email. But why this rather than reparations? Which actually brings me to another point that I'm going to address later on before we go home, right? Fam, I'm not here to argue with you, the partisans. Understand me when I tell you this. I am not a partisan of Yvette and Antonio. I'm not a partisan of Tariq Nasheed. I'm a partisan for my people and this justice claim. If you can't understand that, then perhaps I'm not the person you need to be listening to. I am not here to accuse anyone of anything. And I find it highly suspect that we are not even allowed to ask these questions. Because if we all are a part and parcel of the work that needs to be done, it makes sense that we should be able to ask these questions. And the answer should be just easy. You can ask me anything about my work, about what I do, fam. And I will tell you, I've got no ego in this. I've got nothing to hide from you. So if you ask me, Brother Black, why are you saying this or why are you saying that? I can explain it to you. I don't need any of the angry black sheep to defend me, to try to speak for me, to try to say they understand my points better than me. You can come to me and hear it directly from the horse's mouth anytime you like. You can hit me via email. Some of my angry black sheep call me. My fellow angry black sheep call me. I have Discord where I could talk to them, and so on and so forth. How is it that we can't ask these questions without getting, accusations of we're agents or we're partisans of someone else? I have been on board with the ADOS movement since its inception, since the first day the hashtag dropped on Twitter. So you don't get to question my bona fides. Go back through my entire body of work, and all you hear, other than my side issues that I care about, such as, uplifting black men and men's rights and giving voices to people that don't have a voice, all you will hear is ADOS, ADOS, ADOS. Nice try, fam, but I am not that guy for you to be questioning my bona fides simply because I have questions which I think that all of us, regardless of partisanship, should ask. Here's the third question, fam. How can Yvette and Tone and their partisans defend and support a strat, i.e. the Democratic down ballot strat. And before any of you say anything else on this down ballot shit, understand, Tone at the conference, as well as in subsequent broadcasts, have mentioned repeatedly Democratic. You can say whatever you like about people who are FBA who probably weren't going to do the political heavy lifting anyway, right? You can say whatever you like. That's perfectly fine, right? But what you cannot deny is that repeatedly, they have made it clear Democratic down ballot, right? Because down ballot, I can explain to you the difference in 2 minutes. Down ballot voting, family, for those of you who don't understand the strat, is simple. You have offices at the top of the ticket, right? We're talking, if you're talking local or state, we're talking maybe governor or mayor, right? And then you have offices further down the ballot, judges, aldermen, auditors, prosecutors, dog catcher, whatever. Then you'll have various initiatives and referenda, okay? Down ballot as a strategy means that at the top of the ballot, you will not make a selection for the top of the ticket, right? You will not select someone at the top of the ballot. And as you go further down the ballot, you will make various selections. Like you may not have somebody that you want to vote for as a judge. So you may not choose anybody for the judge. But there may be a referendum about a tax abatement or something like that you want to vote on. So you'll select yes or no to that referendum or that initiative point. That is down ballot voting. It's simple. It's simple. And everybody who's asked for clarification have been told to watch video after video for something that I've done in less than 2 minutes. And I will be more than willing, by the way, moving forward, to do again. I will repeat it again and again and again and again and again until my people understand it, because it is a political strategy, right? So they argued for down ballot, Democratic down ballot. Maiden Day, thank you so much for the super chat, fam. I appreciate it. But how can they support a strategy for Democratic down ballot voting and use someone like Eddie Glaude as an authority when Eddie Glaude himself has disavowed the strategy? And by the way, fam, I don't do receipts. I do evidence. I don't play games or anything like that. Here's the evidence. The video that's being passed around by us ADOS proponents and partisans is of Eddie Glaude speaking on the strategy in 2016. That is factual, okay? Eddie Glaude in that video breaks down Democratic down ballot voting as a strategy. That is factual. Here in this tweet that was 4 hours ago when I took this screenshot today, you have Eddie Glaude Jr. amending the position of the Democratic down ballot voting strat. He said, I amended the position once Trump was nominated in 2016. Why did he amend the position? Because this person here, Claude McIver, up at the top saying, we can't risk Donald Trump being reelected in 2020. And I don't think that that Mr. Glaude would support the strat moving forward. So why then are we passing around Mr. Glaude's work there, right? The video that he did, and using that to buttress our argument for the Democratic down ballot strat when the very person that came up with the strat has amended it, has disavowed it. More importantly, fam, when we're supposed to be pressing home our justice claim, how is it that we're supposed to ignore half of the political beast, right? There have been ADOS people who are conservative. There are ADOS people who support Donald Trump, whether you like that or not. They are our tribes people. And some of us may have disagreements with them politically because they are our tribes people. But because of the lack of separation between the understanding of ADOS as lineage and the understanding of hashtag ADOS as the political movement, the political piece, we're now telling people who share our lineage that they're not our lineage. Make that make sense. I am not making a mountain out of a molehill, B-Man 120. I'm telling you that there are people who are not either with the strat or don't understand it, and it's continuing to be pushed, and we can't question this. The reason why I'm asking these questions, thank you, Miss Denny, for the super chat. Miss Denny said we can't even question their strategies. She wiped out everything they did with that conference when she said that. Keep doing the work, brother. Thank you. I will. And I have to agree. Don't worry, Thomas, because that's what this broadcast is all about. I'm taking this beginning portion to address those who would say that I don't have the same energy for the other personalities involved in this recent conflict between us, the people, over the last week. Yes, I do. I have the same energy for any personality that holds themselves up. I am not upset, fam. I am not angry. Do not ascribe motives to me. If you want to know what my motives are, you simply have to ask. Unlike others, I am not going to sit here and blow smoke at you. If you asking me if I'm angry, no, I'm not angry. I'm not even disappointed. I believe actually that this whole process was necessary for us, the people, for the tribe. Because at some point, fam, we're going to have to learn that personalities can only carry us so far. People waver, people fail, people have gaps in their knowledge, people have biases, people have blind spots. Thomas B., thank you for the super chat. You want Republicans, the Republicans will win with, and I think you probably mean with what I'm saying. The Republicans are either going to win or they're not. I want our justice claim. Full stop. Full stop. That's it. That when I signed on for ADOS, right, when I claimed the name and picked up the political work, what drove me was not a Democratic Party reform program. That was not what drove me, fam. I'm telling you straight up factual. You guys are making this about me, so I'll make this part about me. That was not what motivated me and what motivates me to do this work. What motivated me was the fact that my ancestors suffered through the greatest damned injustice this world has ever seen. And that I, as their lineal descendant who stand in their shoes, is the only one they have to be able to tell their story, to fight their fight, to speak with their voice. I didn't sign on to reform the damn Democrats. I could give less than a care about the Democrats or the Republicans. I am for whoever is for me and my tribe. Period. Point blank. The end. Thomas said that Mitch McConnell said hell no on reparations. Okay. So has every Democratic candidate out there. So now what? We're supposed to wait on the Democrats. We're supposed to wait on Godot, right? And ignore Picasso. Make it make sense, fam. As a matter of fact, fam, my last question before I actually get into the real of what this broadcast is all about. Here's my last question. And I'm ashamed to admit this. But I actually, because I thought I understood what ADOS was all about, I never actually visited, really, ADOS101.com. That's on me, fam. I'm ashamed to admit that. But it's true. I thought, because I've been a part of this thing from the beginning, that there was really no need for me to visit ADOS101.com. Okay? So I finally went to the website today. I wanted to see what the Black Agenda was on ADOS101.com because I had never been there. I thought I understood it. So here's my fourth and final question for Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore. Not you, the partisans, right? For them. On ADOS101.com, reparations is the last line item on the list of the Black Agenda, but yet in our daily rhetorical interactions, it's the first thing mentioned. Why? Reparations on ADOS 101 is the final thing listed. Now, again, I've been a part of this thing since the beginning. I have no personal animus whatsoever toward Yvette or Tone or whatever the case may be, right? I'm telling you what my motivations are. But you don't have to take my word for it. Go there right now, ADOS101.com. El Malik, fam, if you think that that's what it is, again, maybe I'm not for you. That's all right. I wish all of my tribesmen peace, prosperity, power, and love, man. If I'm not that guy you want to listen to right now, if you think that I'm ignorant, you don't have to listen to me, fam. Click away. Click away. The whole site does not make the case for reparations, fam. Look, listing out all these different set-asides and this, that, and the third, that's all fine and dandy. It really is. I have no actual problem with the agenda at all. But reparations is first and foremost. And before you guys start throwing shade at me, because I didn't read the website, in point of fact, most of you didn't. Let's just keep it a buck. Most people don't click the link to ADOS 101 if they think they understand what ADOS is all about. Who wants to read a website when we could just simply hear the people who founded the hashtag elaborate on it? Let's just keep it a buck. Why are you acting like that I'm some sort of aberration or something because I never clicked through the website? I'm glad I did. Yeah, what's next? I don't know enough. Fam, go back and look at my work. I've spoken on topics that many of you have never even addressed as ADOS partisans and proponents. You don't get to tell me. I was ignorant of the agenda as it was stated on the website. I admitted that before I said anything. And I'm glad that I went there. Again, Malik, there's the door, fam. I don't owe you nothing. I'm asking you as a partisan, obviously, to ask these questions. I'm out. Tone said he don't want to hear a damn thing from me. And you know what? I can't blame him. So if it was obvious, then I'm a dunce. And you should not be listening to me. Again, there's the door. I'm not addressing shit else you got to say, fam. Sorry, I'm not going to get heated. I'm not going to go off on you. Peace to you, El Malik, El Wahid. There's a door, fam. You good. It's the first thing that we mention to each other in daily rhetoric. The last thing mentioned on the Black Agenda. And to be fair, fam, most of those items on the Black Agenda sound like democratic reform stuff to me. This is not to say I disagree with it. Not at all. But it is to say, again, I didn't sign up, and many of us did not sign up to reform the Democrats. I couldn't care less if the Democrats remained recalcitrant and antithetical to our interests, because they are not the only party that is involved in this circumstance. They do not constitute the entirety of the United States government. It's as simple as that. I feel that is the first thing and the last thing. Period. Point blank, the end. Yes, there are a lot of things that this government can and should do to make us whole. But reparations should be the first and the last, period. And if it isn't, that is problematic. That is absolutely problematic. And that right there, fam, is Mark Black, the angry black sheep, being fair. Just like I addressed Mr. Nasheed, I now have addressed questions directly to Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore, Miss Carnell and Mr. Moore. I wish them all the best. They are my tribe's people. I wish all of us, the people, the best. We need less devotion to people and more people willing to do the work, regardless of what hashtag you claim or you rep. I'm not repping FBA. I'm not repping ADOS. From going forward, I'm going to talk about our tribe, because we are all one people, one lineage, one tribe. All of you who want to sip the Kool-Aid, go right ahead. I'm good. You can rep for Yvette and Tone. You can rep for Tariq. You can rep for whoever you like. Meanwhile, I'm going to rep for my ancestors in this justice claim. And in the immortal words of Forrest Gump, that's all I got to say about that. Thank you, fam, for your patience. Thank you for allowing me to address this at the beginning of the broadcast. I apologize if I've offended somebody. If you are a partisan of either of these individuals and you feel some kind of way about what I've had to say about it, I get it. Hopefully, you'll be able to put your devotion aside and use your brain computer and ask the same questions that I have, because they're valid questions. And the more you try to dissuade people from asking these questions, the more insistent they're going to become in asking them. Enough said. Let's get to the work, fam. Today's broadcast is going to be a discussion of dealing with the other half. I also entitled it Dealing with the Wolf, right? Because a lot of you know how we talk about the Democrats and the Republicans, fam? We talk about them as the wolf and the fox, right? If you have a wolf and a fox and a chicken, no matter how the vote comes up, chicken's going to be on the menu, you dig? So we talk about the Democrats like they're foxes, right? They sidle up next to us and they whisper sweet nothings in our ear, and then they get us out into the woods and then they pounce on us, versus the ravenous, wolf of the Republicans who just sees us and, right? So I want to talk about, for those of you who don't believe that we actually can deal with the wolf, that we can have some political interaction with the so-called wolf of the Republicans, of the conservative. I'm not going to just talk about problems. I'm not going to sit here and say, they're racist. They got them Dixiecrats over there. Nope. I'm actually going to address solutions. Okay? But before I do, let me shout out everybody in the chat. I mentioned specifically El Malik, and I'm pleased that you showed up for the broadcast. Sister Kanuri, Pretty Muslima's in the house. Chris is in the house. He's Worthy's in the house. Monty's in the house. Sherry, the Cool Man, B-Man 120. I see you, fam. You could think I'm off code. It's all good. Welcome to the broadcast. Sister Toolbox in the house. Maiden Dave. Ty is in the house. Mike, just done it. I see you, fam. Chris B. Chris, my brother from Sacktown, is in the house. Welcome to the broadcast. CKD, welcome to the broadcast. Darker Visions, fam, I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Monty, I already greeted you. Black Magic is in the house. I see you. My brother in Logic, in Mind, Zulu Black. I see you. Hood Heroes in the house. Right? If you hear, pop your name in the chat so I can shout you out and show you some love. Name again. Welcome to the broadcast. I see you. Oh boy, Peach, I see you, fam. Welcome. Let me go on. I shouted out Miss Denny. Let's see here. Still learning. Right on, fam. I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Right? And Brother Paul, I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Maurice, I see you. Welcome to the broadcast. So many today, fam. Thank you so much for your time, for your eyeballs. I appreciate it. Right? Now, before we go into this, I need to tell you right off the bat that I'm not on no Blexit shit. All right. I don't have no truck whatsoever with Candace Owens or anybody. What I'm talking about today is for those of us who feel the need to engage multiple paths to our justice claim, not just waiting on Godot, right? I'm not going to wait around for the Democrats to show me respect, to hear my concerns, right? To acknowledge I exist. I'm not so thirsty that I need their validation. What I need them to do is be able to do the political work that I need them to do for me. And if they demonstrate they're not willing to do it, there's a whole nother party that I can go and talk to and see where our common interests lie. That's what this broadcast is about today, fam. So let's go to the teaching screen. I haven't done this in a while, so you see what I'm saying? I'm glad to get an opportunity to show you this. Now, before we get into the details, right, let's take a look at some information here, okay? This information right here is the 5 top states of Black ADOS population, right? This is the population of African Americans. Now, I'm certain that some of these numbers include continental and diasporan brothers and sisters, right? And this was from the 2010 census, so this is not 100% correct today, right? But this is as of the 2010 census. This was the numbers of our percentage of the population in the United States. Now, DC is a special case. DC is truly Chocolate City, but the population there is only around 301,000 or so as of the 2010 census, right? So I'm not addressing DC, only the states. From top to bottom, we have Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, Maryland, and South Carolina, okay? With Mississippi at 37.3% of the population is Black or African American, 32.4% in Louisiana, 31.4% in Georgia, and so on and so forth, okay? Just wanted to give you guys an idea. I'm going to leave this up for a while if you want to take notes and write down a couple of things, all right? These, as of the last census, are the states where we have the largest masses of our population. This is very important for us to know, okay? Now, here's another little infographic, right, that shows you the percentage of population self-reported as African American by state in 2010. And as you can see here, those same states that we just talked about, right, are right here. Yeah, fam, look at Mississippi, look at Georgia, look at Louisiana, right? These are the states in which we have the predominant population of our people, okay? And this is really important for us to know. As you can see here, fam, your man Mark Black up here in Washington State, we have about 3%, like 3.2%. Don't worry, Black Magic, we're going to get into that. We are going to definitely touch on that. As a matter of fact, we're going to touch on it right now, sister. Because she asked a great question. And so I'm going to provide us with some answers. When we look at these states, fam, Mississippi is a red state. Look at the lieutenant governor. Look at the governor, R. Tate Reeves, R. Look at the senators, Roger Wicker and Cindy Hyde-Smith, R. Look at the House delegation, 1 Democrat. Here, I'll break the list out for you. This is the senators, the current delegation, and then here's the current representatives. All but 1 Republican. They're all red states. Right? I can show you better than I can tell you. Let's check out Louisiana. Louisiana has a Democratic governor, John Bel Edwards, but the lieutenant governor is a Republican. The senators are both Republicans, Bill Cassidy and John Kennedy. Of the House delegation, there's 5 Republicans and 1 Democrat. Let's continue. Georgia. Georgia has a Republican governor, Brian Kemp. Many of you know because in Georgia, what's her face? Susan Abrams lost to Brian Kemp, right? Jeff Duncan, Republican. The senators, Johnny Isakson and David Perdue, both Republicans. Their House delegation is 9 Republicans and 5 Democrats. And last but not least, South Carolina. South Carolina. Look at the governor, Henry McMaster, Republican. Lieutenant governor, Republican. There's 2 senators, Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott, Republican. Their House delegation, 5 Republicans and 2 Democrats. Fam, those are the 5 most populated, black populated states in the country. And all of them are Republican. All of them are red states. This is important for us to know. Because you see, fam, even in locales, right? Like if you take a look at Texas, Texas is a red state turning purple, or at least the Democrats hope. And you have so-called blue bastions like Austin, right? Just like in Georgia, you have the blue bubble of Atlanta, right? But when you take a look at all the rest of the state outside of Atlanta and its local environs, it's all red. This is important for us to know, fam. I would posit that in those states where we have our predominant number of population, we are going to have to in some way engage with the Republican political machine. That doesn't mean you like it. They do gerrymander, right? They do, draw the borders of different, congressional districts and stuff weird. We know that. But when the Dems get in power and in office, they do the same thing. But yet these states have been solidly red for decades. Each one of these states, fam, have been solidly red since at least the 80s. Now, if you listen to certain personalities, they will tell you that we need to hold the Democrats' feet to the fire. And I would absolutely agree, we should. But wouldn't it make just as much sense in these 5 states that I listed here to also engage with the Republican political machine? Now, I know what you're thinking. Man, the Republicans, they racist. They hate niggas. They got the Ku Klux Klan and everything. I feel you, right? Trump wants to cut back our benefits and everything. I feel you. Again, nothing what I'm about to say in any way changes the current dynamic. Except for one thing. Who is it, fam? Who is it, if you live in Mississippi, that is getting in front of Donald Trump, in front of these other politicos, and speaking with your voice for your interests? These people are not Democrats. They're not going to be likely at any Democratic convention or Democratic gathering, right? Austin is a blue bubble in a sea of red. Hell, truth be told, fam, where I live, Seattle is a blue bubble. The SeaTac area is a blue bubble in a sea of red across the whole rest of the state. It just so happens that SeaTac has the population numbers, and that's why Washington State is so-called Democrat or liberal. Wouldn't it make sense, fam, that our people that have to live in these areas find ways to engage with the Republican political apparatus to their interests? Yeah, that's a yes or no question. This has nothing to do with partisanship. The only people that I believe truly would be offended by me making such a statement are Democratic Party partisans that no matter what the Democrats say or do, won't want to hear shit from Republicans. And if you're a Democratic Party partisan, how are you putting our people's agenda, our people's interests above your party affiliation? The data doesn't lie, fam, and the numbers don't give a damn about our feelings. Where the greatest number of our population are, those are Republican-held states. From the top offices all the way down to dog catcher in certain areas. But it is politically sound and feasible to tell those brothers and sisters that we're not supposed to engage with the political party apparatus that controls everything in their very lives? That doesn't make sense, especially when every single one of the Democrats, with the exception of Marianne Williamson, completely disrespected us. They either pretended that they didn't understand what we were talking about, we were asking about those justice claim and so on and so forth, or they simply flat out ignored us. Black Magic said, okay, but you just said these states have been red for decades. So now we will move the Republicans to care about black folks now? I believe that it's possible. I surely do. Because, see, fam, what I understand is that, like all things, it always comes down to framing. What do I mean by that, fam? Well, it's simple. Sometimes whether or not a thing is considered a benefit or a detriment depends on how you tell it, how you tell the narrative, how do you tell the story, right? Think about this. When we go to the Democrats and we talk about our story as a tribe, when we talk about our lineage as a tribe, we tell the story and we frame it in a certain way. We talk about arcs of justice, and we talk about the moral high ground, and we talk about justice. And these things are all important. Don't get me wrong. They're all super important, right? And when you're speaking to Democrats, for the most part, except if you're us, those type of framings tend to sway them. Right? When you're talking about a liberal Becky who just left Whole Foods in her Birkenstocks, pleas of morality about the starving and children in Africa and so on and so forth, is likely to incline her towards your interests. I promised you that we would talk about solutions. We would talk about how to deal with the wolf. And so we shall. I have 4 points that will help us frame our debt that's due to Republicans in a way that allows them to take us seriously, in a way that does not demean us, and also allows for engagement. The first way to frame the debt to Republicans is to throw away any concept of morality. Take all of that moral talk that we've been spoon-fed to feed the Democrats for 60 years and throw it out of your vocabulary. Get rid of it. The best way to appeal to Republicans and conservatives is to their self-interests. I've had many discussions with conservatives, right-wingers, Republicans, even white supremacists. And no matter how diametrically opposed they have appeared to be with our interests, the moment the conversation turns around to what benefits me being in their self-interest, now they're listening. Now they're listening. Damn morality, fam. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear your entreaties about your grandfather who suffered under, an almost lynching at the hands of the crooked racist cop and they don't care. And this isn't to say that they're bad or whatever the case may be. They just simply don't have time for it. They're not moved by moral entreaties. What they want to hear from you, the party of small government, the party of big business. Well, you'd argue that both the Democrats and the Republicans are the party of big business. But what they want to hear from you 90% of the time has to appeal to their self-interest. When you frame our justice claim to them, you can't talk about justice really. You have to frame it in a way that appeals to their self-interest. You have to ask questions like, man, what if there was a way that we would be able to get government completely out of the interactions between black folk and white folk and end the racial animus, the playing of the race card? What if there was a way to do that? I don't know a single right-wing Republican that their ears wouldn't perk up. They'd be like, wait a minute, you, a black man, are saying that? What are you talking about? They'd at least give you a listen, because now you're speaking to their self-interest. They don't want to be bound mostly under the auspices of this hostility, this racial hostility that comes from not paying our justice claim, the debt that's owed, any more than we do. Most of the people that I talk to, but they've never even actually really been approached with it. Nobody's ever really gone to them just talking on some business shit. So the first point when dealing with the wolf is stop appealing to morality. If the wolf is hungry, you sitting there pleading with the wolf to not eat you is not going to stop the wolf from eating you. You have to give the wolf something that's going to interest it a lot more than eating you. The second thing to remember when you engage with Republicans, with right wing, with the conservatives, is to acknowledge points of common interest. Because, fam, I'm here to tell you that our tribe have a lot of points of common interest with Republicans. We have issues with immigration, both legal and illegal, just like Republicans do. At least the line Republicans do. Certain of the business interests of the Republicans, the more centrist Republicans, are trying to make sure they don't do anything for immigration because they make money off of illegal immigration. But your average, everyday, right-wing conservative Republican doesn't support immigration, especially illegal immigration, just like we don't. That's a point of interest, and it should be acknowledged. See, fam, I never understood why we, as proponents of ADOS, were supposed to be afraid of being labeled as MAGA, as if every single thing that we do isn't going to get us labeled as something negative by somebody. Like, why do we care over much what other people label us? We saw that this week in the war of personalities. We went from being MAGA to being bots to being Democratic operatives to being an LGBT-led movement all in 1 week. Like, why do we care? Black magic, if it is, that if these were talking points at the Blexit conversation, then it's coincidental because I didn't watch it. Like I said, I'm not a part of Blexit. So perhaps where there's smoke, you may consider that there might be a fire. Just saying, right? Acknowledge with Republicans where there are points of common interest. Just like everybody says that the Republicans are the party of family values. Now, we can argue that just like every other American, that's more honored in the breach than anything else. But are we not primarily a people of family values? How many of you have enjoyed riding on the Democratic crazy train for every small interest identity group? No one's telling you to wear a Black Magic, please. Don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you to see, because unlike other personalities, fam, I don't care who you vote for or don't vote for, to be quite honest. Hopefully, I'm giving you something today that you can use, but I'm not expecting you to run out and buy a MAGA hat. This is for those people who are looking for all of their political options, especially in states where these people predominate, where Republicans predominate. This is just factual. I'm not going to wear a MAGA hat. Hopefully we can have an adult conversation about this, right? So acknowledge points of common interest with your Republican fellow citizens, because we do share some. Think about it, fam. Many of you even share the desire for a small government. In point of fact, the only problem that most Black people have with the government is that the government hasn't done right by us. But if we're able to get the debt paid, if we're able to get reparations, remediation, restoration, and repair, and we're able to ensure that the government shrinks in a way that doesn't leave our butts flapping in the wind, why would we care if there's a small government? Most of us can't stand the government in our business. When do we ever see the government being in our business as a good thing? You wake up in the morning and you decide that you want to go out and hustle and sell hot dogs on a street corner. Well, many of us who are in the North, who live in Democratic bastions, you got to pay a food handler's permit. You got to buy, this permit and pay this tax and all of this before you cook a single damn hot dog. And all you trying to do is feed people and get paid. Sure, we need some control over making sure people don't get sick and things like that, right? But beyond that, what's the government's business in you wanting to go out and sell hot dogs to your fellow citizens? If you're not hurting them, it ain't none of their motherfucking business. So, truth be told, many of us ain't with no large-ass government. Having SWAT teams kicking in our house by mistake and so on and so forth. You feel me? How many of us is happy with getting patted down every time we go through the motherfucking airport by TSA? I'm just saying. Right? There are many of you who, if it were done properly, if it were in your interest, would do damn fine under a smaller government that was taxing you a hell of a lot less. Hell, we get taxed a lot, fam, and then on top of that, we end up getting fleeced by law enforcement and other government apparatus to fund their budgets. Monty, that's true. That is absolutely true. Right? That being said, though, fam, if it were able to be done in a way that made sure that our rights were protected, what problem would you have with a smaller government? Right? The cops just arrested on Bart in the Bay. Right? There was a brother eating a sandwich. They got arrested by Bart for eating a sandwich on a platform. But we love government so much, like, make it make sense. Granted, government should be there to protect our rights. And we need to push for that to be a part of our reparations claim, no doubt. But I can assure you that a lot of motherfuckers is not necessarily enamored with the government being in everything. There are some places where we don't need them. But we can have that argument, and I'm not going to. We can have that debate. I'm simply putting that out there as a possible place of common interest. The point, fam, is that when you're dealing with Republicans, understand that you have to appeal to and acknowledge where you guys agree. Right? Why would I pay attention to you and your claim for anything if I thought that inherently you were hostile to anything that I had to say or do? Right? So if you came to Brother Black and you were asking me to do something for you or to align with you in some way, shape, or fashion, right? Why in the hell would you sit there and why would I have anything to do with you if I thought that you were hostile to me? Right? We have to have some place where we have a meeting of the minds. I'm not saying it's small government, although some of us agree that we should have a small government or whatever the case may be, right? I'm saying look for points of common interest. The third point that I want to touch on when dealing with Republicans is be bold and speak your mind. The one thing that I've noticed about Republicans or right-wingers or conservatives is that if they hate anything, they hate what we've come to call PC culture. Now, I know what you're thinking. They just want to call us nigga, and they probably do. Let's just keep it a buck. Right? But the one thing that I've learned about right-wing people, Republicans, when dealing with them, is that they just want you to be upfront. They don't want everything to be a landmine when they open their mouth, right? They don't want to be like Democrats where everything is about trigger warnings and making sure that you use the right pronouns and all this and that and the third. Speak plain and be bold about what you're saying. Right? See, because when we interact with the Democrats, we have to account for so many different special identity groups and special interests. Every damn statement you make has become a landmine. You can't say this because it might offend LGBT. You can't say that because it's ableist. You can't say that because it offends this group and that group. With the Republicans, they don't much care about any of that shit. Thank you, Black. She said that I'm not in agreement, but I still support you, fam, and I appreciate it. We ain't gonna agree on everything, and that's okay. This broadcast here is for those people who want to exercise other options politically, and I love you, and I thank you for being upfront and honest with me. When you're engaging with the Republicans, with right wings, you got to be bold. You can't be so worried about stepping on people's toes, right? Be courteous, right? You know, because I try to be unfailingly polite, even to people who oppose me. You are welcome, pretty Muslima. This is a space where everybody can come, even if we don't agree. We are family. We are a tribe. It's all right for you to tell Brother Black, I think you cracked, fam. It's all right. You're not going to get kicked. You're not going to get banned. I'm not going to refuse to answer your questions. Right? Easy Be Easy said Green Party. Until Green Party has more numbers, I'm not certain how effective operating in that Green Party space will be. Now, Easy Be Easy, that being said, fam, I voted Green in both 2012 and 2016. Just keeping it a buck. I like a lot of what the Green Party talks about, and they also have reparations as a party platform. So, take that for what it's worth. They just simply don't have the numbers. The fourth and final thing before I open up the lines, fam, that I want to mention when dealing with right-wingers, with conservatives, is ask for the money. ask for the money. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me make sure to clarify. I used to be in sales, right? I worked a sales position. As a matter of fact, I worked for Comcast. Ain't that a bitch, right? So I was in sales at Comcast. To be more precise, I was in customer retention. That's the people you talk to when you call to cancel your service, right? So I got into retention through tech support because I'm a pretty tech savvy cat, right? And I know a lot about cable products, the internet, services, and so on and so forth. And from there, I wanted to make more money, so I moved over into customer retention. And I had a hell of a time when I first got over in customer retention. Don't get me wrong, fam, I was good. Like, I was good. I could tell you the benefits of keeping your Comcast service and the whole 9 yards. But I wasn't getting any saves. And that was how I got paid, was by saving customers from leaving Comcast. So my supervisor calls me into his office one day. And he says, I don't want you to be upset. I'm here to help you. You're not fired. I'm not doing anything to you, but we're going to listen to some of your calls. So we started listening to some of my calls. And my supervisor, my manager was like, wasn't saying much. And now I'm getting worried because he's not saying nothing. You dig? I pulled a Tariq. You dig? And then he said, okay. He said, I got it, fam. He said, I got it. Because he was a black man. He said, I know what your problem is. He said, you know our services and offerings frontwards and backwards, don't you? I said, yes, sir, I do. And you can obviously tell you care about the customers, don't you? Yes, sir, I obviously do. He said, and you are sure that they will be happy if they stay, aren't you? Absolutely. So why ain't you asking them to stay? What? He said, man, I've heard you tell them the benefits of it. You said stuff about our services and products I don't even know. He said, but you never asked them to stay with the company. You never asked for the money. Fam, it was like a ton of bricks hit me in the head. And after that conference with my manager, I stayed number one in the department for months and months running, made money hand over fist. I got my calls down to 3 minutes. I was taking so many calls a day. I had sometimes hundreds of more saves over the whole rest of the team. All because I did one thing differently. I asked for the sale. So can I go ahead and set that up on your account today? Can we go ahead and apply that discount to your account today? So did you want to go ahead and take advantage of that today? Right? We can go in here before these Republicans with no arguments for morality and ethics, completely building rapport, having their self-interest in mind, being bold, being daring, and completely drop the ball by simply not asking. So can we count on your support for remediation, restoration, and repair of the American descendants of slavery, or the children of slaves, right? The descendants of slavery, up to and including cash payments, but not limited to that. Can we count on your voice for that? Ask for the sale. Ask for the money. Republicans understand quid pro quos, fam. They understand there ain't something for nothing. You feel me? They understand that a hell of a lot better than it seems like the Democrats do. They want us to go out there and sacrifice our votes and our political capital on a wing and a prayer. Oh, Lord, I know that you niggas need so much. I'm channeling Van Jones here. But I gotta ask you, we gotta get Trump out of there. We need this sacrifice. Nigga, what? No, we don't. Dude, we don't have to sacrifice a damn thing for the Democrats or the Republicans. Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore are absolutely right. Absolutely right when they say politics is an exchange, not a gift. Whenever we are, as ADOS, FBA, whatever tag you rep, whatever we are as a tribe, whenever we're asked to spend political capital, the very first thing on our minds needs to be, what's the quid pro quo? What do we get? Not some of us, not a few of us. What do we as a collective get for spending our political capital? I have no problem with Byron Allen, but we spent a lot of political capital backing him. What do we get? That's not a question that's bad to ask, is it? I'm just saying. We should always, as politically aware, newly born political savants, the very first question that we need to ask is, what do we get for our political capital? 1v1 me pleb said, but why did Tone block you? Because, fam, no, I didn't just answer it. Tone blocked me because he posted up a tweet where he was like, I just got off the phone with B and we got something planned. ADOS ain't playing. We coming. You know, doing that braggadocio shit that he's been doing recently. Oh, yeah, it was Sherry. I couldn't cry, fam. I mean, isn't it funny? Again, I'm not throwing any aspersions at the brother, but it ain't about Byron Allen. But now y'all on first name, not even first name, but initial basis, like y'all BFFs or something? Yeah, just got off the phone talking to B, fam. We about to work on some real serious shit. Y'all niggas ain't knowing. I watched his broadcast the other day, Antonio's broadcast the other day, when he was addressing the Tariq situation. You notice how this was after Tariq made the comments regarding our brother's charisma, right? Which, again, I already addressed. That was super shady, super petty, not even on code, okay? But that's neither here nor there. So when Antonio made his response, he said something in that broadcast that gave me pause like you would not believe. He said, and I'm quoting him directly, I can't give y'all everything. Huh? What are you talking about? We've been taught to ask some key questions as ADOS political actives. Who you, right? Consider the source. We've been taught to ask key questions. What's the data say? Right? We've been taught to ask this. And here we have the founder tell us that there's information that we're not privy to, that we can't know, data that we can't gather in order to make informed, righteous decisions. I'm not misquoting him, fam. Go back and watch the video yourself. He was sitting there name dropping and doing the thing and trying to portray his charisma and all of that, and that was cool. But when he said, I can't tell y'all everything. I can't give y'all the whole thing. What you mean you can't give us the whole thing? What? Make it make sense, fam. We're supposed to be grounded in the data, but now we're withholding data. Look, fam, I'm a black man, just a simple black man who loves his people, who loves his tribe, and want to see justice for us and our ancestors. So talk simple to me. Make it make sense. We out here putting ourselves at personal risk, many of us, Do you know how many people took the day off, multiple days off actually, depending on where they were traveling from, to be there at the Supreme Court on those stairs last Tuesday? We're risking our incomes, our livelihoods, sometimes our personal safety. Because Tariq is not wrong that the work that we do does put a target on our backs. I accepted that when I claimed the name. So you don't have to worry about me being scary, but that's a fact. And we're not even counting the cost. But I would think that in return for that type of dedication to our lineage, our dedication to our uplift, our collective uplift, that it's not too much to ask for a little forthrightness. I don't think it's too much. So there will be ADOS advocates and proponents and partisans of Yvette and Antonio who will see this broadcast as Mark Black proposing an alternative Blexit from the Democrats and this, that, and the third, even though I've said multiple times that I don't truck with that. I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I don't care if you vote Democratic down ballot. I don't care if you're on our FBA brothers and sisters tip where you're not going to vote for nobody until somebody comes and speaks your language. I don't care if you're like me, that I'm looking to engage with anybody politically I can to press home this justice claim. I don't care, right? You have that option, right? The last thing I would want to do is take away your autonomy. We have options, fam. Regardless of what you may have thought, because you value the person or persons that you value, you still retain your right to choose. Your devotion doesn't mean that you turn off your brain computer. You still retain your autonomy. I need you to be flexible and I need you to be thinking, because then you're effective in working not just on your behalf, but on mine. I don't need you to be blindly devotional. I don't need you to be a partisan. We have so much work to do. 2053 is not waiting for anybody. We need them tangibles and we need them like yesterday. It is what it is. 425-296-1980, fam, is the number. Call in and have your say. Let me make sure I got the phone open here. I can take one call at a time, so if we're on a call, please, fam, don't call in. Let the other call pass, and then you can call back in, because I'm using Skype. I don't have it like Yvette yet. I wish I did. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that before the broadcast is finished, by the way. Fam, I hope that I have been fair. I hope that I have not been over emotional, because I didn't want to treat this with any heat, right? Any smoke. I believe it or not, I still have love for Tone, right? He blocked me, and I actually admit that I earned it, because I was being petty. Because to be quite honest, I feel slightly took. Not to say that I invested in his person so much, not at all. I was here for the work, right? But when you have esteem for an individual, you know what I'm saying, and you see them acting in ways that are kind of like at least questionable, and then you have your questions deflected and shunted off as if you don't make any, like, I feel like, to be quite honest, by a lot of the ADOS partisans and a lot of FBA partisans, that they're all working to gaslight all of us. That what we see ain't reality. You feel me? What up, Big Unc? Welcome to the broadcast, fam. If you really want to know what I think, that's truly what I feel like. I feel like that the partisans of both are working to gaslight us. Like, here we go. Let's take this call, fam. Caller from 216. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Hey, Mark, it's the cool man out here. How
The
you
cool
doing?
man. Hey, I'm doing well, fam. I hope that I've given you something to chew on today. I hope that I've given you something to think about, fam. The floor is yours. What's on your mind?
Well, you have given me a lot to think about. I've been thinking about a lot of things over the past few months. A lot of things that I have been quietly just enduring as ADOS. I'll give you a few examples if you have a minute.
Go
One
ahead,
time
fam.
I called you back the show, and one of the things that I asked her was that why are we talking more about reparations? Why are we talking about, can you hear me? Okay, why are we talking more about uh, filling out that reparations agenda? How much it's going to be? What exactly reparations is going to entail, and all that? We should be doing that so that by the time 2020 rolls around, we understand exactly what we want from reparations.
Mm-hmm.
Do the same thing for our black agenda. We have our black agenda, and so we've always said we said.
Yeah.
And she just kind of just, well, I'm doing this, and we're going to talk about this, and but it was never a clear answer on why we don't just fill that agenda out, make
Yeah.
it plain. So that concerned me. I just didn't quite understand. Then sometimes I'll watch Tone, he does it. He has Killer Mike on his show, and I notice how Killer Mike might say some stuff that might seem a little off the wall, and people will be commenting. But after the show was over, Tom would say, I know y'all don't like exactly some things that Killer Mike said, but I think Killer Mike is a cool guy. He would never say anything bad about Killer Mike, no matter what. So I thought that was kind of strange. How you talk about all these people, but then certain people you seem be kind of muted in your criticism. I'm like, okay. So then one time I called up Yvette and I asked about the whole down-ballot strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have to do that? Or why can't we vote on it? Because I felt like as a collective, we should do things democratically. And voting should just be, whatever we all vote on, and that's where we go. But
Yeah.
she was just like, I just need you to do this for me, fam. I just need you to do this. So again, I was like, it just didn't seem right. So I'm just saying that I've had these problems for a while. I've been trying to be quiet about it because, he's like, I felt like maybe they had a plan that they couldn't really speak on publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hey, I was just going to roll with it. But I began to, I'll say one more thing. I did the same thing for Tone. One time I put on his website as a comment, why don't we vote on the down-ballot strategy? And my comment got blocked.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that comment actually, fam. I saw that comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that when you said that we should have sort of an ADOS get together where we decide whether or not that's actually the strat, right? Not have it necessarily. I won't say
Dictated by fiat. I
Yeah.
said dictated by fiat.
Well, here's the thing. I won't say that, right? Because I believe in being fair. Yvette and Tone at the conference indicated that this was what they planned to do. Now, whether that, I'm not going to ascribe any motives toward them, right? So whether that was to give them plausible deniability or whether it truly was just simply something that they agreed on, I leave that for other people to conjecture. I don't want to put anything on it, no spin on it. But they did say at the conference that this was what they were going with, right? Now, that being said, if you have picked up the mantle of leadership for ADOS, which they have, no one can deny that at this point. They have clearly established as founders, leaders, they have picked up the mantle, right? If they have picked up the mantle, so to speak, hey, Onyx, peace, brother, thank you, thank you, thank you. But if they have picked up the mantle, how in the world would it make any sense to think that we wouldn't take even their suggestion that they're doing this as sort of what the strat's going to be, right? If they're the leaders, we're looking to them for guidance, right? Those of us who acknowledge their leadership, we're looking to them for guidance. So if they say
Right.
that this is what they're doing, it just simply makes sense that everybody else is going to kind of jump on board with it. Right. So they can't be disingenuous and act like, well, we didn't tell y'all all to do that. We said this is what we, yeah, true. But If I have influence over a group of people and I suggest that I'm going to do something, what's the likelihood that at least some of them are going to say, "Yeah, that's a great idea. I like what they're talking about," and just go do that, right? So
Right.
we have to be fair. We have to be honest, right? But with that said, I think the thing that is most concerning to me about all of the stories that you related, they come back to one singular thing. They come back to your feeling as if your voice in this thing is kind of not necessary. Like if we need your opinion, we'll ask you for it type of thing. I don't want to speak for
Yeah.
you, right? But is
No,
that
no, no. That's exactly how I feel and been feeling.
You know what, fam? I wish I could say that you were the only one. But during this past week, with what I call the war of the personalities, because FBA is still my family, I haven't blocked nobody. And I'm telling you, fam, I'm not intending to. I'm not going to block nobody, right? So I've been watching the war of the personalities this week. During this whole war of the personalities, though, this week, I can't tell you how many people have asked questions of both Tariq as well as Yvette and Tone that have gotten dismissed, that have gotten completely dismissed. This is what happens. Here, fam, I can only take one call at a time, so let me finish with the brother's call here, and then please feel free to call in. Um, this is what I've noticed happens. We either see a swarm of their partisans completely shade and blast whoever it is that asked the question, right? So if they ask a question to Yvette or Tone or Tariq, we see their partisans jump up in droves and just simply shout them down. Or if Yvette or Tone or Tariq address a specific statement or a question, it's in a very dismissive type of way, right? Like, you don't know enough to have this conversation with me. I even heard Yvette made a post where she called Boyce Watkins disabled. Like, really, fam? Really? Don't get me wrong, she's not perfect. I'm not sitting here holding her to perfection, but she is accountable for the shit that she says. And that is extremely fucking problematic. It's been a war between personalities. And you know who's been caught in the middle? Us. That's the part that pisses me off, is that we, the people that they claim to be doing everything for, have been caught in the middle. Whether it's FBA, whether it's ADOS, whether it's whatever, fam, we the ones that have been caught in the middle. And then on top of that, the partisans have been fanning the flames. They've been going back and forth to each person's mentions talking about, "Ooh, did you see what Antonio said about you?" And then, Tariq will respond, and then they'll run right over to Tone and be like, "Yeah, you see what Tariq said, Tone?" And blah, say skippity woo woo. I mean, damn, fam. We've been knowing that Boyce has been petty, or whatever the case may be. Why is this news? Like, if you really a leader, I'm just gonna tell you straight out. If I'm a leader of something, and I'm not, but if I'm a leader of something, I don't have to answer to nobody's ad hominems or whatever. People gonna say, man, my mother used to tell me they talked about Jesus, right, fam? You know what I'm saying? Like, they talked about Jesus. That's what my mama used to tell me. So if they talked about him, I know they're gonna talk crazy, shit about me, right? So I don't have to address any of that. There's people who come to my chat and say, "Man, you crazy? Are you an agent?" I don't even block them, fam. They have the right to say whatever they like. If it's true, then I need to address it. If it's not true, then I don't even need to concern myself with it. You feel me?
Let me say this, Mark.
Go ahead,
about
brother.
The whole thing. I have to wonder. It's like, it's like it just became a war of words and a peace. And I'm like, where's the desire not to be in a feud? Where's the desire just to say, I think we need to sit down and talk about some things, and figure out where everybody's coming from. If everybody is honest and, sincere about what they're trying to do. Like, for example, BTS had a criticism of Tariq. Okay, I think she was a little, harsh when she came out with it. But Tariq should have, as soon as he heard about, try to figure out where is this coming from, and then try to answer her question about, what his intentions are. Instead, he goes off and just does things that escalates it.
Here's the thing, though, fam. I'm a firm believer that when people tell you who they are, believe them. And one of the sure signs that the nigga is on the scene is when egos start clashing, right? As you stated. Now, here's something to know, fam. All of us who broadcast various, on various media, we don't really know each other like y'all think we do. That's a problem. I really wish people would understand it. Like, I don't have Tariq's number. I haven't talked to Tone in person ever. And I've only been on Yvette's show a couple of times, right? Speaking back and forth, right? So we don't all know each other like that, right? But that being said, I think you're perfectly valid in that if you don't have any ego involved, and if it's really about the people, if there is a disagreement or an issue with a strat or whatever the case may be, I would think that you'd make some effort to say, hey, fam, I think you might be confused or whatever the case may be. Can we have a talk, right? I do that all the time. Yeah. I invite people that dissent in my channel to call in. The lines are open for anybody to call. Trolls, dissenters, other angry black sheep, so on and so forth, right? You're going to always have the partisans say that, oh, it was Tariq that started it first and Tone that started it first. I don't care who started it. At some point, somebody's got to be adult enough to end it, right? So there it is,
Hey, Mark, let me say this, and then I'll let you go. I just wanted to talk about your strategy about, dealing with the Republicans and everything.
Please do,
I never had a
fam.
problem with that. My vision for Adolf has always been above Democrat and Republican, and it's been just putting our pressure on the political system to respond to our justice claim. And so now I want to say this because I do take issue with one thing. A lot of people espouse, which is that my voting is, it's a whore, and I don't really espouse to that, like voting is a whorish experience or whatever. I mean, for me, voting is a principal action. Okay, and so I feel that our justice claim is a righteous one. It's probably the most righteous justice claim you would have.
Absolutely.
And so I don't think you should have to, diminish that and play political games with that. I think we should take the moral high ground, and just like the civil rights movement, press it as a moral imperative.
Absolutely. I like that drives you, fam. I like that you're looking to vote for something rather than against something. I definitely appreciate that.
All right, Mark. All right, well, I'm going to let you go tonight, man.
Hey, I appreciate the call, fam. Thank you so much for giving us something to chew on and for the participation, man. Don't be a stranger.
Always.
Thank you, brother. Peace. Great call, fam. Great call. And I think the brother made some real positive points. I don't think it's necessarily that we expect perfection from the people that step up and do different things and so on and so forth. But we expect basic courtesy. We expect to feel a part of what we're doing rather than having been dictated to what we're doing. People are making some really good points, too, about Tariq's conference. I'll be honest with you. I never saw Tariq's conference as a competing conference. Caller from 510. Sorry. Thank you, y'all. Caller from 510. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Hey, it's Pretty Muslim, man. How are you?
Hey, sister. Peace to you. Welcome to the broadcast, sister. The floor is yours.
I just want to say, isn't it ironic that we just read the book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? And it's like very chaotic right now.
I couldn't agree more. The irony is staggering.
Every time I'm on the ADOS Facebook page, I have to remind people that we just read this book. Like, did y'all read the book? Did you read the book? I just want to know, did anybody read this book? Because this is crazy. Nobody should have to choose. I listen to everybody. So I don't feel like I should have to choose. I don't understand why, for some reason, we've taken on all of the white supremacist ways. And so We just want to go against people just to go against people for no reason. We want to cut down every argument, and it makes no sense. It
Sister,
makes no sense at all.
I'm telling you,
We,
it's been a problem in every transformational moment that we've seen. And when you break down the root cause of it, it always comes back to ego, right? It always comes back to somebody feeling that they got one down on somebody else, or somebody didn't get enough credit, or this, that, and the third, right? What gives me hope, sister, if I might share it with you, is that you have various groups of people all over the country, people who are aligned with hashtag ADOS, who are organizing their own organic chapters, who are actually
right.
putting boots on the ground, right? Who are saying they don't much care about the war of personalities. They got work to do. That's something that we've really not seen, is this willingness to say, okay, bury the man, continue the plan. Right? That's not something we've really seen. And it does give me a degree of hope that in spite of people's personalities, in spite of ego, in spite of people wanting a set trip, right, that we can find a path to still continue to do the work.
I just want to say I'm still encouraged. I haven't lost my courage at all, and I want to encourage the family to stay encouraged. I see a lot of us on Twitter and Facebook that are really trying to keep it, get people back refocused. It's like I'm not choosing. No, I'm not gonna let nobody from FBA talk bad about ADOS, and I'm not gonna let nobody from ADOS talk bad about FBA. Because at the end of the day, we need the politics and the culture. Why do I have to choose? That's
You
crazy.
don't, sister. You don't. Not in my book. I haven't chosen
I'm
between.
not choosing.
I haven't
We
chosen
need
between a
both of
single
them. We
one.
can't do nothing without our culture. How you gonna forget that? That's rude.
Sister, I haven't chosen between FBA or ADOS. Look, we are one people. We are one tribe. If you want to go out there and shine for the culture, shine bright like a diamond. I care not. If you want to get on board with this work, with this political work, we got room for you. This battle that we are facing is so broad that everybody can get in where they fit in. You feel me? So, let the personalities play what they gonna play. Let them be in their ego. In the meanwhile, those of us who love our people, who are standing up for our lineage, who care about justice and righteousness for us, primarily first and foremost, right? Let us do what we do. And the rest of it can be chips that fall by the wayside. I know you agree with me.
I just want to thank you for bringing this up tonight because it's really been on my mind. I've really been conflicted since the conference. I was extremely pissed when Tone yelled Democrat. Like, you branded us. We're branded. And I don't want to be branded. I don't.
Facts. Facts. Thank you so much,
There's no
Sister
reason for
Tim.
us to be branded because at the end of the day, black people, if you're talking about as a collective, okay, we are very conservative in our thinking. If we get honest, let's get honest. I know that the Republican people are overt and blatant with their stuff, but the Democrats are equally racist. We have to get it together. They just don't openly communicate it. All the stuff that has affected us deeply, like the 94 crime bill, was championed by the Democrats, right?
Yep.
They want to have the open borders. We don't need that. That is not what we need. We don't. Half of the shit that they advocate for, we do not agree with.
It's a
We don't.
crazy
We are
train.
conservative.
It's a
We are
crazy
conservative in
train.
our thinking.
I'm sick of that crazy
So
train.
we need to get over that. I'm just saying we need to get over
I
it.
hear you,
We
sister.
do. We
I'm
need to
not
be
running to the
independent.
I'm not running to the Republicans, but I wouldn't touch a damn Democrat for dog catcher at this point. They have shown us nothing but the height of disrespect. I say fuck them. And you don't have to agree with me, fam. If you still feel like there's a Democratic representative in your area that you want to support or whatever the case may be, hey, do you, boo-boo. That's what this politics, that's what this transformational moment is all about. Is finally educating our people politically and empowering us politically to get every other thing that we need in place. right? How else are we going to press home this justice claim? So do you, boo-boo. You vote Democrat and you got somebody there in your area that has came and said they support justice for you and your people. Get on with them. But the Democrats as a whole, as a collective, can kiss my ADOS, FBA, DOAS ass. I ain't got nothing for them.
I'm not telling the family to vote Democrat. I'm telling the family to get honest. We have to put those labels away and understand that we are dealing with one and the same. That is all I'm begging you. I don't want you just going out there voting Democrat. Please.
Facts.
We have to think, we have to do more responsible thinking and analogies and reflections, because we just got to strip everything down, strip it all down and take it down, like break it all the way down, take everything off of it. And when you look at it, we line up with these people. We need to go talk to them. They're just not, we have been so repulsed by them. We haven't even talked to them like that. They're not used to being around black people. They usually live in very white communities. So they just haven't had exposure to us. We need to engage them. I feel like we could get somewhere personally.
I do too.
Donald Trump ain't just trolling us. I don't believe that. I don't. We need to get honest and get used to owning the fact that we do feel conservative, like we really are conservative in our thinking. We are. We don't own the Democratic Party. We saw all the people running away from the videos that Jamie was doing.
Facts.
They didn't want to talk about reparations. They didn't have a plan for reparations. All they had was, yes, I sponsor HR 40. They have nothing else for us. And at first that was cool, and then we started thinking, no, wait a minute, do you have a plan for us? We know you sponsored, so what? Nobody had a plan. So no, this is not our party. It never has been. They have always put policies forth that have us. Look at how many of our men are in prison right now. I'm just saying, that's the Democrats. No, that is not good for us. It is not good for us. It's not. We just have to deal with it. We didn't want to. We know better now. We just have to deal with it. We have to own it.
That's right. When you know better,
they don't own us.
When you know better, you do better.
Us, we don't own them. We are independent, and we need to start getting used to it. Thank you, Brother Mark. Thank you for the show.
My pleasure,
Everybody
Tam. As always, thank you, sister. I appreciate your honesty and your contribution. Have a great evening, sister, and peace to you.
Thank you too. Peace.
Fam, I'm going to take another call, but I want to say something first before I continue on. And I appreciate, trust me, I'm going to leave the lines open. We don't have nobody else broadcasting tonight that we need to worry about. So I'm going to take as many calls as I can, fam. Listen, for the first time, family, we have a secret weapon. We have an ace in the hole. You feel me? We have our lineage and our connection to it. With that and a political understanding of moving like a hydra throughout the entire political system, engaging everybody, what can't we accomplish? I mean, real talk, fam. Cleaving to our lineage, walking in the shoes of our ancestors, not with shame anymore, not with this, oh, I'm sick of hearing about this slave shit, but with pride, with honor, with dignity, combined with our renewed emphasis on political and economic savvy and a willingness to engage across the board for our American birthright, the debt that is owed to us. What can't we accomplish? I want you to ask yourself that question, fam. Callers, go ahead and call back in. Thank you for letting me speak a little bit. I'll take the next call. Thank you, caller from 323. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
This is Jason Argonauti, Mark.
Fam, I'm so glad to hear from you, brother. Welcome to the broadcast, fam. The floor is definitely yours.
Well, I've had issues basically with claiming leadership ever since they have all these really public opportunities to make a real big bold move, but they really stay very passive. So I'm all for not having a leaderless organization, but if you're going to claim the name and claim the title, you've got to be active. You can't be passive. You've got to, how many more people would have shown up at Washington if they had gotten and said, hey, we're going to organize a protest in Washington. Let's get all the ADOS fam there, as many as we can, versus just not talking about it and letting the chapters deal with it. And the chapters that they take credit for were, as you say, organic. They didn't say, hey, fam, let's make some chapters of ADOS in all these different cities. It was voluntary.
But fam, wouldn't you agree with me that that was the best thing that could happen?
That was absolutely the best thing that could happen, and I was thrilled when it did. But say one of those chapters wanted to start something, say like the Political Action Committee you're talking about. What I've seen with these interactions the last week is the first thing people would say was, well, do Tone and Yvette know about it? Who are you? Who are you to make a move like this?
I think it'll be like that at first, fam. Because remember, a lot of this is still personality driven at this point. You can tell by the level of partisanship that we've seen during this war of the personalities, right? You can see the high level of partisanship where everybody's got their little party partisans and so on and so forth, right? But here's something to note, fam. Over time, okay, we thought, here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about.
Right.
We thought that the NAACP would operate as a complete monolith when it comes to just simply acting like that we don't exist and that our political pushes and aims, until one chapter broke the mold, right? Until ADOS LA was able to get the NAACP chapter in their area to actually come on board and break with national.
That blew my mind, Mark, and I was really thrilled about
Fam, see, this is what I'm talking about. See, this is what the personalities fear. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, fam, because this is brother and sister talking to brother and sister here. There ain't no titles, no personalities, no egos. What these personalities fear is that with enough of us on board doing the work, with enough of us having our discussions back and forth, our little dissensions, our little arguments and throwing evidence at each other, that we're eventually going to come to a point of consensus and wake up and realize that we're the ones out here doing the work. We're the ones out here putting the boots on the ground. We're the ones out here making the investments. What the hell do we need you for? That is their biggest fear, fam. I can tell you that for a certainty. I know because I recognize the symptoms.
The
right?
ball got rolling, and I don't know if you're probably a sci-fi geek. There's a show called Babylon 5. One of the characters was like, once the avalanche has started, it's too late for the pebbles to make a decision. So
absolutely,
they are the pebbles now.
Absolutely. They gave birth to a baby, but now that baby's growing, and that baby's going to grow and evolve and shape itself in ways the parents never expected. Now, good parents encourage that growth and allow that baby to be able to develop however that child develops into its adultness, right? Really crappy parents try to dictate to that child what it's going to be and ultimately ruin that child's life. Now, it is up to us, the child of this idea, as to whether or not we're going to let our parents ruin us or we're going to be destined for greatness.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
The best way I really to view Tone, Yvette, Tariq, whoever, is they are a source of information, and that's it. I mean, you can't invest emotionally in a source of information. You have to take what you will and discard what you won't.
Facts. That's what I've done. Right from the very beginning. Yeah. You have to. Look, devotion is beautiful. Loyalty is a beautiful thing. But blind devotion and misplaced loyalty are poisons, right? If people are on track, if they're on board with pressing home the greatest, justice claim, the payment of the greatest debt we've seen in modern day time, then I can rock with you. But the moment you deviate from that, you're questionable. And once you tell us who you are, we're going to start believing you. And woe betide those who tell us that they're not for us.
Absolutely, Mark. Well, thank you for taking the call.
My pleasure, brother. Again, I was glad to have you. Thank you so much for your time and for the call. Fam, I don't think that it gets any clearer than that. We are the child that our ancestors, 16 generations, worked to give birth to. Caller from 516 is your man, Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from and what's on your mind? Make sure you turn down your background, fam, so the fam can hear you.
Yeah. This is Mike.
Hey, Mike. Peace, brother.
Mark, how are you?
Hey, I'm well, brother. I can still hear the background, so if you don't mind muting the background so the family can get good quality on your call.
I'm trying to get on 1 second, Mark.
No problem. Take your time, fam.
Okay. Got it done. Thank you for the show, and I really appreciate the comments of people that have called in about the topics that you brought up. I have a question, though, and this is sort of, I don't know, I obviously don't have any kind of hotline to tone into that, but this is something that I took away from them, and I wanted to ask you to perhaps give your feedback on this issue. One of the things that I heard, I'm registered as an independent, and I did that last year.
Yes.
Because of basically a lot of the type of information that's being shared this evening. But what I have also understood in the last year is that unless I choose a party, I'm registered as independent, but unless I choose a party, I can't vote in the primary.
That's correct.
And that
in
is something that I'm concerned about. What I'm considering is going back to put myself in a party in order to be able to vote in the primary and then making my decisions once I get in the voting booth. And
Gotcha.
This was what I understood. Now, it might be some interpolation on my behalf, but this was what I understood perhaps was what they were trying to impress upon us as being able to vote in the primaries.
That's possible. Again, without more data, it's not fair to us to speak to what they actually meant, right? We can only go by what they say. There's people in the chat who have stated that they've done exactly the same thing in those states that have a closed primary that require you to select a party affiliation in order to be able to vote in the primary and things like that, right? So for those of you who are unsure what we're talking about, in many states, and you do need to do your legwork, fam, you do need to do your research, but in many states, they will have either an open primary or a closed primary. An open primary means that anybody who's running for a particular office in that primary, you can vote for, right? Like, let's say that that there was a Republican candidate, which there usually isn't, right? Because normally the party that's not in office has primaries, right? But in a state with an open primary, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you can vote in the primary if it's an open primary. If you're in a state, though, that has a closed primary, they request that you declare a party affiliation before you're allowed to vote in the primary, right? So in states that have a closed primary, fam, even if you're registered in that state as an independent, you may want to consider before your state's primary altering briefly your party affiliation to allow you to be able to then vote in the primary if you want to do so, right? Especially if you're paying attention to local races and things like that, that you want to make sure to vote for candidates in. If they are of a certain party, it doesn't matter. You can vote for anybody of a different party, but in order to be able to vote, you're going to have to make a selection. I believe the state in which I live has a closed primary. I'm going to have to do some more research on it because I'll be honest, I haven't been voting for very long, only since about 2012, right? But here's the thing. If your state does have a closed primary, make sure that you select a party affiliation, and that will then allow you to be able to vote as per normal in the primary. Okay? Go ahead, fam.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I didn't even realize about the open and close, and I don't even know what I have. I've only been in this area for about a year and a half. The other thing, I mean, I hate to keep beating this dead horse, but I'm going to say it because this is the really thing, the thing that really gets in my craw about this situation with the between the FBA and ADOS and all this stuff. In terms of the people, I don't really have any problem with that, and I'm going to admit it. Yeah, okay, on Facebook, I have my fun, and I poke fun and post little memes and whatnot. You know, sometimes you just have to go back to the 13th grade and entertain yourself, right? But the thing that really annoys me about the whole thing as it went down from, again, I'm going to just call this one person out, but if anyone has anything they want to say about it, you know, I'm just going to put it out there. What Tariq did was, when we, for the whole, I don't know how long, 2 years, right, we've been looking at data, and we know that this community just doesn't have it like that, right? And then you have somebody out there asking for $200,000. That is not a little bit of money by any ADOS standard, right? And I'm just asking myself why, you know, besides anything about competing, it's just this one thing, right, that if you have any kind of way to do any kind of math or understand numbers, that is just an ask that I think is beyond necessary, right? I was talking to someone who is in a particular profession, and we happened to be discussing it, and the person was saying, you know, we did a professional conference, and it only cost $20,000. I mean, yeah, $20,000, right? That's 10 times less than what we're talking about here. But okay, whatever. He can have all the superstars or whatever come there and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we know the data that says 50% of ADOS are less worth than $1, right? But yet you're trying to collect $200,000 from those very same people, and you live in a $2 million mansion and drive a what is that damn car, Rolls Royce around, right?
You know what, fam? I had to make my peace with it, and I'm going to tell you why. Right, I'm sharing with you, fam. It's just you and me having a conversation. You dig? So you know, take it how it is. Right? You dig? I had to make my peace with it, and here's why. There are a bunch of partisans, first of all, of every personality that has been involved in this thing. And I'm going to tell you what I've learned about personalities, fam. Personalities don't give a damn about the data, right? If partisans of Yvette and Tone, if Yvette and Tone was to say something else completely different tomorrow, they're partisans. I'm not talking about those of us who are actually, like, you know, riding on the concepts, right? The lineage, the economic data, the political action, and so on and so forth. I'm talking about the people that have attached to them, to Yvette and Tone. They're going to find some way to justify what Yvette and Tone has done or said or don't say, right? You feel me?
Yeah.
Right? And the same with Tariq's partisans, okay? So when you come to these individuals' partisans, you could be spot on in your analysis and it won't matter. And unfortunately, we have to, as people who are now learning to embrace the data, right, to embrace the reality of our circumstance, it is difficult to then ask us to say, well, we got to let them do what they do. But I argue, fam, that for our mental health, for peace among our tribes people, we kind of have to just let people sometimes be where they are. That's not to say that we don't want to continue to provide them with the services that we do, right? We want to continue to push the data. We want to continue to talk about the information and cleave to our lineage and all this and that and the third. But Tariq has now made it clear that regardless of whatever happens, this is not in competition to anything political. He's stated that it's for the culture. He's given people opportunities to conduct business there and networking and so on and so forth. Fam, there are people who are going to do it, and that's okay. Like, I hope that FBA has 4 conferences next year, 1 for every season. And I hope that they're all rousing successes by their standards, okay? What they're doing at their conference is not going to change the reality of the data. And for those who are interested, they will see that soon enough, right? They will see that soon enough. They will come to the realization after they've blown, you know, a whole bunch of their savings at various conferences and things like that. And now they're finding themselves in bad financial straits. And we could have been doing some political stuff that could have helped. And at that point, you know, we need to leave the door open for people to come and get this information. We need to leave the door open for people to get on board this political advocacy, right? And so we have to just at some point say, okay, fam, I heard you. Shine. Do you, boo-boo, right? I'm going to be here when you're ready to do what it is that I'm doing over here. Do you feel me, fam?
I appreciate it. I do.
Because I mean that's for your mental health, that's for your emotional health, that is for that right there is taking your ego out of this thing and really thinking about the collective. I don't want to see anybody wasting or burning money or this, that, and the third, right? But I figure the way that I see it, some people prefer bought lessons. They prefer to pay for their lessons, right? So I say let them pay for their lessons, right? If they want to pay the price it costs to learn the reality of their circumstances, I can't stop them from doing it anyway, right? So better I just fall back and say, okay, fam, I wish you the best of luck. I went on Twitter today and I actually wished Tariq the best of luck. And I seriously and truly mean it. I don't have to like Tariq personally, right? And I don't. By the way, I'm sorry, I want to read this super chat. Thank you, by the way, to Onyx Palms for the super chat. Black people have real money, captains of industry, innovators, etc. We need them on board. This conference is about black commerce, in my opinion. Hashtag ADOS, hashtag FBA. And I feel that. Right? There are some of us who want an opportunity to highlight their efforts to make a success of themselves in this society and in this culture, right? And I think they should get a chance to shine, right? It's not costing me nothing per se, right? So you feel me? I hope, fam, that I was able to give you something for your piece, right? There is no beef between the tribes people. You want to do the FBA thing? Do the FBA thing. It's all good, fam. I hope y'all have a rousing conference, and I hope it's a success by your standards, by your lights, right? And in return, I hope that when we press our political advocacy, that you feel free to back us on that, right? That I hope that when we're having political education, that you come and join us on that. I hope that, when we're pushing home as best we know how, in every area that we know how this justice claim, that you jump on board and support us whole hog. Fam, go ahead. Go ahead, fam.
Well, I didn't know if you was talking to me or responding to the comment.
I'm talking to everybody and you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and again, I appreciate the feedback and the nuance in terms of how to understand the situation, and that's great. I'll just say, and this will be my closing note, I suppose there's some frustration because what I see on the ground where I am is that I'm in an area where a lot of ADOS have left, right? They've moved back down south. And I see, I was looking at, there's a lot. I don't own a home right now, and I don't even have enough finances to even begin to think about owning a home. But there's a lot near one of my aunt's houses that I was, it has a really small house on it. And I was just poking around on, what is it called? Zillow, I think it is, to see how much this lot cost, right? And it cost just as much as any lot. It has a small home on it, but it looks decrepit, right? But it costs as much as any of the viable houses around it. And I was thinking, wow. Now, what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of people, in quotation marks, I mean, they are people, they're humans, but I think they haven't been here very long when you talk about ADOS history, buying up houses around here left and right and renovating them. And so it's not lost on me. I don't know, and I was trying to have conversations about it tonight on Facebook, where the money comes from. But it's not difficult to do math when you have a house that's $500,000 and you have to put 20% down, which brings you to $100,000. And then people around here, ADOS people, tell me, oh, it's because they do group economics or that they have a lawn care service, right? And I'm like, really? So where did the money come from to get all the equipment for the lawn care service, right? Yeah. And that's all well and good and beside the point. But I think what I'm trying to illustrate with that is, No,
I definitely hear where you're coming from. The frustration for me is the same. I would never deny that there are those of us who have been very fortunate in this great nation of ours to have some degree of means, right? Some degree of access, right? And I would never begrudge them that, ever, ever, right? That being said, I would encourage them to remember that we can rise no higher than the lowest one among us, right? That as long as they have their own stuff, they're not they're saving themselves as best they're able, but they're not really, right? Because what dominates us still dominates them. They're just in a more comfortable position under this domination. I liken it to they move the boot off of their neck and they put the boot on their ass. It's a little bit more comfortable on your ass, right? But the boot's still on you. You feel me? Right? So we are only going to be as strong as our weakest link. We're only going to rise as high as our lowest tribes person, right? And the more we press home our lineage, right? The more we press home the need to cleave to this golden chain that weaves back through our history here in the United States, I think that we'll see more of the brothers and sisters with means starting to put more resources behind this advocacy and things like that. We haven't seen it because this message, this secret weapon that we have is still relatively new to a lot of us, right? But as this progresses, I believe that we'll see more of that.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, sir, brother. No,
and let someone else get in, but I do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, fam, and thank you for calling. Fam, Pretty Muslima said Yvette disrespected Dr. Claude Anderson. I'm gonna have to pause, fam, for a second. Let me just address this point. I'm gonna have to say that I agree. And the reason why I agree is because say what you will about Claude Anderson, but he has been a writer for us forever in the month of Sundays. And while it was true that he filed bankruptcy because of the loan from a black bank and this, that, and that, while all of that was true, not everything that's true necessarily needs to be spoken, right? One of the things I love about my Muslim brothers and sisters is that they're taught that you chastise your brother when you get a chance, but you do it in private. You cover your brother's sins, basically, right? You don't go out there and broadcast your brother's sins and flaws, to the heavens, right? You take your brother to task. You bring him over to the side, right? And you address what's going on, right? Peace, Miss Kwame. Glad to have you to the broadcast. Peace, Alma, right? But you handle that in-house, right? If you have specific issues with something that, an elder, a respected elder like Dr. Claude, or so on and so forth, wouldn't it be better to address it with him directly if you're able to, right? Or find some way to get in contact with somebody that can get in contact with him. From everybody that I've known that's interacted with Dr. Anderson, he's been accessible to anybody. Like if you ask the brother to come on your broadcast or come and be a part of what you're doing, Dr. Anderson has been super duper open and willing to engage you and will talk for hours if you let him, right? You see what I'm saying? So I think by letting her animosity with Boyce kind of bleed out, and again, I'm conjecturing here, fam, so take what I'm saying with a whole bunch of salt. But I think that animosity with Boyce bled over to her interaction with the elder, and it made for not really anything good, in my opinion. Not anything good. Okay, I'm done talking. Next call. Somebody from 301's been trying to call in for a minute, and I want to take that call. So, caller, go ahead from 301. Give me a call, and I'll go ahead and let you have the floor. I really do believe that would be a good thing for her to apologize. Thank you for calling from 301. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
Hello, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, brother. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I called you the other day.
Yes,
This
you did.
301, the area code 301 was down on the Supreme Court yesterday. It was a lot of 301s down there.
Hey, thank you, fam.
Yeah,
I appreciate your efforts down there, man, fighting for what for what we need. I appreciate it.
the DMV, the DMV area was in the House. But yes, getting back to what concerns me most is have you read a book called King of the Cats?
I have not. Please tell us about it.
Okay, King of the Cats was written by a writer from the Washington Post. He wrote about Adam Clayton Powell Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he was talking about how Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was able to get more. He's renowned as being able to get more legislation accomplished up on Capitol Hill than a lot of these people in the Black Caucus now.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that Adam Clayton Powell was able to get desegregation down in Little Rock, Arkansas, he broke with the Democratic Party, and he made an agreement with Eisenhower and so forth. In other words, the reason that he had broken with the Democratic Party was because Truman's wife, she had showed she had discriminated against. She didn't allow his wife Hazel Scott to attend some type of meeting or something that they were having.
Yeah, Truman and his people was racist as hell.
Yeah, Adam Clayton Powell, because of that, them disrespecting his wife, which was Hazel Scott, which was a musician, he just broke with the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party was against him. But he was able to get more legislation accomplished by breaking with the Democratic Party and aligning and supporting the Republican Party, Eisenhower and so forth. And he was able to hold Eisenhower's feet to the fire to get those troops and stuff down there to protect those black students when there was a desegregating Little Rock, Arkansas high school. But I don't. I know we have open and closed primaries and so forth, but after that is over with, I don't see us being aligned with. I don't see us coming out supporting this. Just even saying Democrat or Republic. I don't think that's a good strategy.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't think that's a good strategy. And we have some. We have some scholars out there like Eddie Glaude Jr. He thinks like that over at Princeton. He thinks like that. He's for a radical form of politics and so forth. If you get a chance, go to Democracy Now! And watch the debate that he had with that professor up at Georgetown. What's his name? I can't think of his name. But they had a debate. But he was talking about a more radical form of politics. Not really. He said, you got to, in different states and so forth, where you got the numbers and so forth, his strategy is more, taking in account what state you're in, and if you can have an effect and so forth, doing this, going with this party and that party. But he doesn't support Eddie Glaude Jr. over at Princeton. He doesn't support aligning with any party. He's for a more radical form of party.
Brother, I would actually, I'm sorry, brother, I don't mean to cut you off, but I would actually have to disagree based off of what I've been saying, because I do watch, Eddie Glaude. And I think, first of all, I want to say I think the brother is completely erudite. I really love listening to him. He speaks well. You don't misunderstand him when he speaks. And, he doesn't speak like one of them ivory tower cats. He speaks well, but he speaks accessibly. So I want to say that first and foremost. That being said, there was recently a roundtable on, I think it was AM Joy, that he was a part of, or I know it was on MSNBC. I don't necessarily know if it was AM Joy, although I do know that Joy Ann Lomena Reed was there. right? She was a part of it, and so on and so forth. And he talked about ADOS, right? He
Right, he
specifically
did.
mentioned us. Now, but here's the thing.
He acknowledged.
I need you to follow me for a second, because
Okay.
after he acknowledged us, he mentioned a couple of other groups, right? And then said, if we don't understand what they're about and the dangers that they present, and I'm like, dangers? How are you going to
Okay.
classify us, who are simply nothing more than a group organized around our lineage, advocating for our political interests, as a danger,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
for me, Professor Glaude is really sometimey. Like, yes, he speaks with
Yeah.
passion, he speaks with
Yeah.
erudition, but then he'll flip the script when it doesn't quite match what he thinks is where we need to be going politically. I'm not trying to
Okay.
disrespect or throw shade, but he concerns me. To me, Professor Glaude is problematic, right? Because
Okay.
if you say that he's not a partisan dim, right? I would have to say that
Right.
if he's not, he plays the fence so damn closely that it's hard to differentiate him from a partisan dim. And that in and of
Okay.
itself is problematic. We need to be clear
Okay.
about where people are, right? When we ask who you, there can't be no ambiguity.
Okay. Yeah. I was referring to the debate that he had with Michael Eric Dyson on Democracy Now! during the Hillary Clinton campaign and
Well,
so forth.
hell,
That's what
brother,
I was
I mean,
referring
no
to.
offense,
Yeah,
but
but
any one of us could destroy Michael Eric Dyson in a debate. He's got his head so far up the Democrats' ass, I don't even know if he
yeah,
sees sunshine. Like, I don't
right,
get me
yeah,
wrong. I'm not saying that Eddie Glaude didn't acquit himself well, but I mean, that's
yeah,
small potatoes to say that he held his own with Michael. That's like saying that somebody held their own in a debate with Van Jones or Mark or Mark Lamont Hill, right? Like, these people have made it clear that they're completely Democratic partisans. Like, they're easy to demolish.
yeah, yes. I came up with the same interpretation, of what's going on now with a lot of these egos going around and so forth. It's just too many egos, and the egos are getting in the way
Yep.
and so forth. That really is confusing a lot of people, and a lot of people are not able to keep their eye on the prize. We got to get back to what are we after? We after reparations. If reparations is our number one priority and so forth, we got to get back to this. We can't continue to go after each other, trying to destroy each other and so forth. Let Tariq have his conference.
Absolutely.
If Magic Johnson want to donate $200,000 for him to have it, let him go and have it.
Facts.
You got some people. You got some black, like because I don't have it, that don't mean I should be saying, well, that's too much for him to have a conference. That's not. If he want $1 million conference and he can get people to support it, let him go that on. As long as he's not talking anti-reparations or he's not talking anti-ADOS, let him go on with his show. Let him go on with the Foundation Black Americans. If he want to go with that name. But we got to keep our eye on the prize. We losing sight of what we all out here for. What's going to close the racial wealth gap for us and so forth? I was down to Georgetown the other day, and you can just see they just continue to build and construction, and they building wealth down there. And, so we got to get back to what should we be campaigning for? We should be campaigning for. We want reparations because this is the only. The data has shown that this is even Sean. What's his name? This other financial analyst. He done did all the work and so forth, and he
Who,
done
Dr.
determined.
Garrity?
No, not Dr. Daddy. This is Sean Rochester. He did.
Yes.
He did. Sean Rochester. He did some in-depth work about how many trees and so forth we're going to need and so forth. We gotta keep our eye on the prize, and we gotta realize that how much we're going to need and so forth. Once we're able to get the money, we can work out what we're going to do with it.
Facts.
You know, we got to keep pushing it. This stuff that's going on now is just destroying. It's not that it's destroying, but it has the possibility to water our claims.
Only if we let it, elder brother, only if we let it. We are the power behind these personalities, and I don't ever want you to forget it. We are the ones who ultimately drive the narrative. Fam, I always have said to everybody, they say, when is this going to stop? When is this going to change? I'll tell you when it will stop and when it will change, elder brother, and I know you're going to agree with me. It will stop and it will change, and we will get back on track when we get tired of not being on track and not a moment before. Because our personalities, they'll war as long as we let them war, as long as we pay attention, as long as we big them up, as long as we play partisans. They'll continue to ham it up until the cows come home. But the moment we just say, you know what, we ain't got time for this, we got work to do, they'll stop.
Yeah, we got work. We got work to do, and in the spirit of our ancestor Malcolm X, we got to develop that. We got to develop that spirit of by any means necessary. Any means necessary that we can put together to get this. To get these reparations, we got to do it.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Any means necessary. We've gotten away from. We got to listen to our ancestors talking to us. They talking to us. Talking to us every day. We can't get away from our ancestors, and then we got to have respect for each other. Also, a lot of this stuff is just petty. It's just too petty for me.
I feel you, elder brother.
But I can understand where you're coming from, brother, and I continue to engage in your broadcast and so forth.
Brother, so, I appreciate you, fam. I always appreciate the wisdom of my elders. Thank you so much for your contribution, for sharing this knowledge with us. We trust me, we ready to get back to work. I don't care about FBA doing their thing. I want them to shine. I want them to shine bright like diamonds, and I really mean that.
But I've been in this world going on 72 years, and I haven't seen anything as far as getting reparations. I haven't seen any traction as great as it is now. Any movement or anything that has got as much traction. It's been people out here that's been engaged in COBRA, and all of them been engaged in reparations, but none of them has got as much traction as ADOS.
And fam, we've only gotten started.
ADOS has planted the seed. All we got to do is just cultivate it now.
Thank you. We just getting started,
peace,
fam.
My brother. Peace, my brother.
Peace, my elder brother. Thank you. Great call from the elder brother. Fam, we done planted the seed, right? Now, your man Mark Black is definitely down to pull some weeds. Your man Mark Black is definitely down to grab the watering can. Your man Mark Black is ready to go grab the fertilizer. Your man Mark Black is ready to make this seed blossom. How about you? I can't speak for you, but damn this FBA, ADOS, etc. stuff. Let the partisans have it. Let the people that worship personality have it. As for me, bury the man, continue to plan. One of our greatest elders told us that. We got a charismatic idea. We don't need no charismatic leaders. If we have one, it's a plus. Big up to our future charismatic leader. But if that person dies, we bury them with honor and we keep it pushing. That's what it's all about. Fam, y'all You and I are the influencers. That's the secret that none of these broadcasters will tell you. You are the influencer, not me. The best I can do is advocate for you. You influence me. You guide me. You're the boss, applesauce. Quiet as is kept. You don't want the fighting between FBA and ADOS? Stop tuning in. Stop hitting thumbs up and hitting hearts on the tweets and the comments. Stop giving the Facebook posts air and headspace. When you're ready to go back to our work, for our brothers and sisters at FBA for the culture, for our brothers and sisters at ADOS for the politics, we will. Calling from 909, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
Thanks from California, checking in again.
Checking in, sir. I duly noted. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, so a couple of points. We never really vetted Yvette, Tariq, or Tone. The first question we should have been asking was, okay, Tariq, Tone, you guys live in Los Angeles. Why don't you guys know each other? Why haven't you guys worked together on a local project? What are you guys doing locally? Because we should be able to ask people in LA, say, hey, do you know who Antonio Moore is? What has he been doing? Like, no one ever really. So when this stuff happens, we can't really be surprised. You know what I mean?
That whole political education we got, that whole political education we got is starting to backfire on some folk, because that who you question stretches across the board for a whole lot of folk.
Right. Because we should first look at a person's local record. Like, what's your record locally before you try to act as a leader to all of us? Tell us about what's going on in Atlanta, Yvette. You know what I mean? Tell us what you're doing over there.
Keep going, fam.
You know what I mean? Because politics are all local first. The local politics are the foundation.
Politics is personal, fam. Never forget that.
Yeah, but it starts on a local level.
Yep.
So we should be, we should have, like I said, we could have vetted them a little bit more. So people just kind of got caught up in the personalities. And they like the message as well, too, but we didn't really say, okay, is this stuff even true? You know what I mean? Is this legitimate? You know what I mean? The questions about Byron Allen, everything. You know what I mean? The questions, we never really took our time to really, it just kind of flew past us, but, when it should have been right in our face, like you brought it up tonight.
You know what? Here's the thing, fam. There are people that will say that they will ascribe malice. I'm not willing to do that in this particular matter. But what I will say is that I find it strange that we could spend literally months on Yvette and Tone's broadcast discussing a single topic. But when it came to this, the discussion was so minimal. It was just, we need to support Byron Allen. And the next thing you know, we're making this push for Byron Allen. And it's like, okay, we've spent months at times, literally, because like I said, I've been in this thing from the beginning. We've spent months analyzing a single topic, right? And not counting the time, not counting the cost. But this thing was like, boom. It was like, boom. It was just, it hit us like a ton of bricks, and it was no real discussion, no real like talking about it, no analyzing and so on and so forth, right? It was just instantly from, we talking about reparations, and now we on board on Byron Allen. But then when people say something about this Byron Allen thing, we're like, hey, okay, Byron Allen, right? Well, tell us about Byron Allen. Well, it's not about Byron Allen. What about your civil rights, though? Well, wait, what? Y'all brought Byron Allen into this.
Exactly.
Like, we could have addressed this piece and never even knew who Byron Allen was. Like, if we were just going after the defense of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, you did, right? We were just going after that. That's perfectly fine, right? If that was something we were going to spend political capital on, we could have had some discussion about that and made, come to some degree of consensus and then ran with it. We didn't need to know about Byron Allen. We didn't need to know about nothing as far as that goes, right? But
Right.
they brought Byron Allen into this thing. And then when we start doing what we were taught to do, which was ask, who you? Because some of us aren't familiar with Byron Allen. You feel me? Some of us don't know anything about Byron Allen, right? So then when we start doing our due diligence, we start saying, okay, Byron Allen, who you? Well, that ain't about Byron Allen. It's about your civil rights.
Right.
Excuse me?
See the sleight of hand. See the slick sleight of hand. You see what I'm saying?
Again, fam, I without more data, I won't conjecture as to motives. And I think we need to be clear on that too. I'm not going to sit here and say malice. I can tell you what it feels like. I can tell you that this don't pass the smell test for me, that I can tell you that I got a bunch of questions that I just mentioned in this broadcast tonight. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah. You know, like Byron Allen started getting introduced into various discussions, and I'm like, okay, Byron Allen feels this way. And you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, like, because I mean, one of the things that we as ADOS, proponents and advocates have been doing is we haven't really been talking about celebrities. If anything, we've been talking about the decadent veil. We went in on LeBron. We talked about the Rich Paul rule and all this other stuff, right? Like when we talk about celebrities, we usually talk about them in the sense of like almost, I won't say hostility per se.
And by the way, that's culture. That's culture.
Yeah.
Celebrity talk, that's culture. That's not politics.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But my point is that whenever previously we've been talking about celebrities, matter of fact, I remember Tone did a broadcast where he said that if LeBron ain't gonna put in on what we doing, then why ask us to put in anything on LeBron, you dig? And I thought that was perfectly valid. I was like, yeah, quid pro quo. You, LeBron, advocate for us, we advocate for him. You see what I'm saying? But then all of a sudden, boom, it's like, what? Now we got Byron Allen kind of introduced into this thing. And again, we, the people, didn't bring up to Yvette and Tone Byron Allen and say, hey, this thing with Byron Allen looks kind of shady. We should talk about this. No, they brought us into this. They brought him into this, right? We could have just been talking about Comcast, the National Association of African-Owned Media, which, by the way, is his association.
Right, it is.
Right? But we can't talk about that. We can't talk about the different ties that Byron has to different things that may be things that we want to question. I don't think Tariq and them was wrong for bringing up his connections to Sinclair Group and things like that. I think that was perfectly, since they introduced Byron into the dynamic, it's perfectly valid for us to look at his ties with Sinclair Group and everything else. Now, the personal attacks I wasn't with, right? I don't care who Byron's sleeping with or whatever the case may be. It's none of my business. You dig? But how are we spending this political capital for Byron Allen with no quid pro quos, but politics is an exchange, not a gift?
Well, I saw one of Tone's recent videos, and it seemed like he is more, I guess, involved about it now, the way he describes it. He speaks about it very vaguely, but he's more associated with Byron Allen on an individual level. Now, that's not necessarily on an ADOS level.
Man, who you telling? That broadcast he did today, or that tweet that he posted today, the one that got me banned when I looked at him with the side eye, right? He didn't even call him Byron. He said, I just got off the phone with B. Like they was BFFs or something. So for this to not be,
Byron, it's just like, how does that relate to what we're doing? You know what I mean? As a collective, about your conversation about it, what does that have to do with us?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here you are telling us it's not about Byron, but every time we look up, you're bringing him into it, and then having the temerity to have us not ask questions, okay, about Byron. Like, you brought him into it. He's fair game. We didn't bring him up.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so fam, you're not wrong for having questions. What's wrong is that the personalities that are involved in this thing are on some, I don't really know what they own, but I think that it highlights the need for us to make sure that we don't allow our devotion to overcome our brain computer, to overcome our ability to think and examine things for ourselves. Because again, there are serious questions about whether or not a quid pro quo was exchanged between either Yvette and Tone, or between Tone and Byron. Those are questions that are not going to go away. They are not going to go away at this point. And the more that they try to act like, well, it ain't about Byron, it's about your civil rights, the more fuckery is going to commence. Pardon my language.
Talk about civil rights. Don't talk about Byron.
Yeah.
We talk about civil rights. Don't talk about Byron.
Sorry about the noise, fam. My family is just coming in. But yeah, fam. I'm gonna let you have the last word. Let somebody else call in. But I want you to get your last speak off, man.
Let it rock. You're calling in. You got it.
All right, fam. Hey, as always, thank you, man. I appreciate your input. Please don't be a stranger. Peace to you, fam.
Peace, fam.
I want to thank Dr. Miles for this quotation. Dr. Miles Bennett Dyson said that Neely Fuller tells us that logic requires that we ask questions and then wait for answers. See, fam, you can always tell when there's some mess, some things going on that's messy, because here you are asking questions, which is your right, and then all of a sudden there's no answers. That's suspect, no matter who it is. No matter who it is, fam, if you ask me a question and I don't at least have some sort of answer for you, I'm suspect. It's as simple as that. I'm suspect. This don't mean that there's hate. This doesn't mean that I hate Tone or Yvette. I don't. This has nothing to do with personal animus or anything like that. Pretty Muslima, don't. Because the messiness is created by personalities and personality worship. It is pretty damn clear that that's the case. You know what, Ty? They work so closely together that it's like a puddle. It's like a rain puddle. If you drive through a rain puddle and you standing nearby it, both people are going to get splashed. Yvette has her voice and has a platform that if she wanted to, and there was some things that she had concerns about or whatever, she could definitely bring them up. So if she hasn't, it's not unreasonable to assume that either she is ignorant of what's going on, which makes her nigh on useless to us in this matter, right? Or she's aware of what's going on and she's okay with it. Caller from 903, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind? Oh, okay. Caller from 903 will call back. You know what? I would be floored. I would be floored if any one of them would call in. Because again, I have no problem with discussing rationally, lovingly, kindly with any of them. You see what I'm saying? No, I don't think she was talking about me, fam. I think she was talking about Tariq. Caller from 413, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
Hey, Mark, this is Double C.
Double C, fam. Always a pleasure to hear from you, brother. The floor is yours. What's on your mind?
Wow. Well, one, thank you for the stream. Once again, it's fire.
Thank you, sir.
Always appreciate what you do. But I think a lot of it is, we let ego get in the way of our logic when it comes to certain things. Whatever FBA, ADOS are going on, that's between them. I see it as you see it. We're one tribe, one people. Especially when you're talking about getting our just due. My whole thing is, excuse me, I'm drinking coffee. My whole thing is this, and you're right. Yeah, always people trying to gaslight us to get us off the path. But I noticed something. As soon as we start making strides and we start going somewhere, someone always got, we always got to have a dog and pony show between people. And this is when personal attacks come in. This is when all the messiness comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I say personally, we should keep focused on task at hand and not worry about that.
That's
You
right.
know, I feel like, as far as I see, Yvette, Tom, they are not leaders. I don't see Tariq or whoever as a leader. And you've pointed this out to me, we are all leaders. We have to lead ourselves. Stay focused on the day, stay focused on the task at hand. That's my piece on that.
I appreciate that, fam, because you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, we have to use our discernment and our ability to see, right? One of the things that I always liked from the Bible, fam, and I know you'll appreciate this, was Yeshua would repeatedly say things like, let him who have ears hear, and let them who have eyes see, right? Not everything is going to be readily apparent to everybody right away, right? But over time, the truth will out, right? What's done in the dark will come to light, and people will be held to account for what they've done or not done, what they said or not said. Us, though, the people, we are lucky in this particular instance because previously, in the years previously, before we cleave to our lineage, things like this would blow people completely apart. But now we know that we are the voice of our ancestors. We literally walk in their shoes, right? And I am grateful to those who help bring us this message and help us get this lens on our eyes, right? But when you cross a river, fam, in a canoe, when you get to the other side, you don't take the canoe out of the river, put it on your back and keep walking. You leave the canoe in the river. The canoe has served its purpose, right? You continue on without the canoe. We have to understand that personalities will get us to a certain place, but when they're no longer capable of carrying us where we need to go, we need to leave the canoe and we need to get out and continue walking. That's all, fam. There's nothing to be sad about here. Look at all the W's our people are getting on a daily basis. The brother Rodney Reed, who was about to be executed in Texas, received a stay of execution so they can review his case. Fam, that made my heart sing. And you know how many of us were working on fighting for justice for this brother? Right? We people need to know when we're winning. There's nothing sad about what happened this week. We had our fun, we had our entertainment, and so on and so forth. Okay, we was petty, we was shady with each other. We threw some jabs at FBA, and FBA threw jabs at ADOS, and so on and so forth. Okay, everybody done got the junk out their system, right? We done had our little fun doing memes and so on and so forth. Now let's get back to work. Let's wish our FBA brothers and sisters a great conference, right? Let ADOS continue to branch out and create new organic chapters in their various locations. Let them get boots on the ground and education out there to our people. You feel me? Fam, we have only gotten started. And that gives me so much hope. The seed's been planted. It's up to us to water it, fam.
And I agree with that.
It's up to us to water it, brother. Fam, I'm going to let you have the last word. I got another call coming in, and I'm going to wrap up the broadcast here pretty soon because I got to eat.
All right. Well, I'll say this and do the work. It's not the end all be all. It's about our just due, and we just got to keep focused and stay on the course.
Absolutely.
And we have to take the wins when we can get them. Another thing is, I learned is this: it's not the fact that we don't know what a win is. Sometimes we don't win the way we want to win, which it's like a win to me. A W is a W, no matter how you look at it. Whether you win by an inch or a landslide.
That's facts.
A W is a W.
That is facts. That is facts.
With that, sir, I will say good night because I need some coffee.
Yes, sir. Hey, thank you so much, fam, for your contribution to the broadcast. Peace.
No problem, sir.
Fam, I'm going to take one more call, but, again, I want to tell all of you, FBA, ADOS, DOAS, DAS, DACS, let not your heart be troubled. Personalities are going to war as long as we let them. That should fill you up. That should make you happy as all get out. They're going to war when we let them war and not a moment after. Caller from 903, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Hey, Mark, it's me, Black Man 903.
Black Man 903, fam. I was waiting on you to call in. You're going to be the last call for tonight, so go ahead and drop a gem on us.
All right, well, my thing was, I was thinking a little bit differently, right? As contracting work. Like when a funeral home picks up a body here, where I'm at, right? It was always the white funeral home getting called, and then the family who were black would have to pay X amount of dollars to retrieve the body from the white funeral home to send it to the black funeral home.
What?
Yeah, this was consistent. So the thing is now, you have to call both. You have to call back and forth between the two. If the black person died and it has to be the white rotation, that's fine. But when a white person dies, the black person picks them up, it has to be on the black rotation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing about that is the same thing with when we were talking about if they do all this infrastructure, right? All these infrastructure things that are supposed to be going on. You have to give an account for so many of those who were black owned as well, or ADOS owned as well. I don't care if it's cutting the highway grass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You have to set so many of those contracts aside. And if you're not setting those contracts aside, that's why I thought you could say, well, y'all just being racist because you're not letting us do the work.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing that goes for when you're doing other things like, I work with the Booster Club here.
Mm-hmm.
And the Booster Club will consistently go to this one guy and get T-shirts made. Well, T-shirts are really big business if you don't know.
Definitely.
In terms of the profitability off of a T-shirt, right? Especially for a high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll consistently go to this one guy, so we can't do that. We're asking for other advertisement in the community from other T-shirt vendors, but we're not letting them participate in making any of that money. Somehow we have to let them bid on the process, or we have to rotate each one each year, somehow or another. And that's the way I took the Byron Allen lawsuit. I didn't take it as so much of Byron Allen. I took it as a thing of, hey, this is going to be for those businesses who are being discriminated against because you're not a part of the crowd kind of a thing,
mm-hmm.
or you're not a part of that church kind of a thing. And that was my thing on my take on it. That's the way I had seen it. So, and the other thing I want to sit there and say to that brother who was talking about looking for a house and trying to find a house, I want him to very, very well understand about having or owning a home. I told you I own my home. It's 4 bedrooms and the whole 9. But just when I went to San Antonio, came back from San Antonio. When I got back from San Antonio, my air conditioning unit went out. That was $3,200. Just the other day, my aerator for my septic tank went out. That's $500, right?
Yep.
Just the other day, something else happened to my truck. That's another $3,200, $3,600.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something. So the more you can learn how to fix yourself the more you can learn about fixing yourself in your house before you get your house, the better off you'll be.
Absolutely.
In terms of plumbing, electrical work, it's all a part of it. When you go to cut the grass, there's no maintenance guy who comes out here and cuts the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Black Man 903 is the maintenance guy.
Yep.
He's the one who cuts the grass, cuts the bushes, fixes the plumbing, everything.
Yep.
All right? And this will be really hard for me to sit there and say. I don't mean to be disrespectful when you talk about elders, but I'm going to tell you about mine, all right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that I have inherited 75 acres, right?
Yeah.
Of property, right? For the last 20 years, I've been the only one paying the taxes. It's been probably more like 27 years. I've been the only one paying the taxes, right?
Yeah.
My dad, my aunt, and my uncle own the property. They own it outright. My name's not on anything except for the tax receipts to show that I paid for it. To this day, they won't give it to me. Even though I take the tax all the time, no, I'm going to give it to my kids. Why would you give it to your kids if they haven't participated in this, right? If you haven't invested anything, why should you get anything out of it, right?
Fam, one thing Yvette taught us that I thought was real dope. Because again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend they ain't never done nothing for us, that they ain't never said nothing good that we can use. I know they have, which is why the whole personality war is crap, right? But one thing Yvette told us a long time ago was that when you got people that you trying to educate with this information, with this data, right? And they see you struggling, they see you, but you're doing your best, right? And they're not really trying to jump on board with any uplift, any education, anything, right? When they come asking you for anything, you got to be like, I can't call it.
But that's what's so hard for me to do, is not to do that, because they are family, and you're very, very right about that point. But at the same time, when we were in our 20s, in our early and late 20s, I was to say, hey, y'all gonna help me pay on anything on the property? Well, I'm gonna pay on property. Hey, my name, I got other stuff to do. So nobody else will pay anything for all those years.
Yep.
And now that I'm 50, now everybody wants to come up and start paying stuff, because you know why?
Because
they want to sell it when their parents die.
Yep, absolutely.
And leave me out of it. And
well, you know what?
I haven't invested anything in all these years, no investment whatsoever. But now all of a sudden everybody wants to sell.
Fam.
But that's me putting all my money into it. Who's going to reimburse me? Who wants to pay me back?
Fam.
Nobody.
Here's what I say.
And my uncle just gave me my shotgun. He gave me the shotgun from my great. That'd be 5-time great grandfather. I just now got the shotgun. I'm 50. He's in his 70s. But he's on the shotgun since he was in his late 30s.
Fam, so let me ask you a question real quick.
Go ahead.
You know, one of the hardest things that we have to come to grips with sometimes as the people we are, right, as members of our tribe. And I want you to tell us this whole story. I want you to get it off your chest, right? So I'm not going to steal your thunder. But I want to give you something that's going to help. Understand about sunken costs, fam. That's not the easiest thing in the world to deal with. But we can talk about it offline, right? You on my Discord. I want you to tell your story, fam. I want you to share it, right? You need to get that poison out, right? And I want you to come back to me offline another time, and we'll go into it in a little bit more detail.
Okay, no problem. Yeah,
no. I want you to talk about it now, but I'm saying we got some other stuff you and we can talk about later, right? That I think is going to help you out. But I want you to go ahead and finish telling us what you want to say, man. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, that's my point about once we do this thing, it's about investing in time it's about investing your time, your money, and your spirit into this thing. Because after it all starts getting going, don't come up to the stand later on talking about, hey, I want in now. No, where was you at before? That's what I don't like. You know, even now, like I sit there and say, I'll give you some even somebody said I was bidding, okay, I'm bidding, but the part about it that makes me mad is that I have 5 acres of land. I got cows on 4 acres of it that don't belong to me, that belong to my uncles, but I water them every day. That water costs me money.
Yep.
Do they ever sit there and say, hey, man, let me give you this much money for your water or anything like that? My dad always comes back to me and says, well, you got it. It doesn't matter whether I have it or not. It's the fact that they're not respecting the part that I'm doing to give it to you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot, because somebody sit there and said earlier about Erykah Badu making $200,000 at a concert. Okay, but Erykah Badu probably still has other family members that do the same thing to her.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I always have it. Like right now, I don't know where this money's going to come from for my truck. I don't know where the money's going to come from this, but I'm going to get it somehow. But the one thing I won't do is go ask for anybody for it in terms of family members. I'll go get it, but I just won't ask family for it. And I think that's where a lot of people where you get stressed out, is that everybody calls on me for something, but who do I call on when I need something? You see what I'm sitting there saying?
I feel you, fam.
So
I feel you.
That's my biggest point. I'll leave that part alone. But I just want to say, great show tonight. I really love what you're talking about. But like I said, I hope this is all over by Monday, because I really want to get back on the reparations thing.
Yes,
I thought the Darwin Allen thing was something totally different in my eyes. I remember when I went down to Katrina, and the guy found out that I was a disabled veteran,
mm-hmm.
right? Well, then I was a veteran, and I was black, obviously. He's like, man, I need to put this in your name, and we'll jump to the top of the ladder, and I'll give you X amount of percentage of it. And it was just being a token black woman was really being and saying, hey, look, we have diversity in the group. We have a black man who's on the paperwork with me, you know, that kind of thing. And he's a veteran. So we got to go to the top of the ladder, which is true. But Ray Nagin was such a asshole and taking all the damn money that nobody really got paid from Katrina. Only him and his cronies did. But those are the things, those are the situations that I don't want to be in anymore. I want to have my own black crew, my own black ownership, and be able to go into there to make a contract to be able to say, hey, I'm here, we're here.
Yeah.
That's the way I think about it now in a lawsuit. Maybe I looked at it a whole lot different, and I'm sorry if I did.
No,
but that's the way that I looked at it.
I appreciate that. I really do. You know, it's a shame. And brother, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go because I got a couple other things I want to say before I end the broadcast. But I just want you to know I need you to reach out to me. We're gonna talk about this in a little bit more detail. I might be able to put you on to something that may be helpful. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna do what we can to try to better your circumstance, right? But I definitely appreciate you sharing your story because it's the story of so many of us. And that's just real talk, and so I appreciate. Don't be ashamed of sharing that with us. We need to hear it, and you needed to say it. So reach out to me, fam. I appreciate you. Yes, sir. Fam, how many of us are our family's reparations? If nothing else tells you how important the work that we do is hearing stories like our brother, right? He done put in his hard work, his hard effort, all his time, all his energy, only to watch someone else profit. Fam, that is literally the story of our ancestors here in America. 400 years, we've put in the effort, we've put in the work. We've done everything. We were there before anybody else, first, fighting for everything this country stands for. And then when it came time to divvy up the pie, everybody got a piece but us. This right here, fam, is why we fight. This right here, fam, is why the work is so important and so necessary. Sure, our culture is important, fam, and if you want to do things for the culture, do it for the culture. I'm not going to knock you. But don't forget about the work. We got so many people that's been beat down, and been used up. You know what I'm saying? Sure, the brothers should set some proper boundaries, and that's a discussion I've always been having. But how bad are we in a position where we're using and vampiring off of each other for reparations? That don't make no sense. Fam, before I end the broadcast, I want to share with you something that I have a plan to do. First of all, I want to thank everybody, Thomas B. I want to thank Maiden Dave, Miss Denny. I want to thank Black Magic, Cool Unk, Onyx Palms, and Alicia for the donations via Super Chat. Words fail me. I appreciate you, and I'm so grateful. Fam, there's so much more I would like to do for you. There's a person that is really famous now that you probably have heard of, named Rush Limbaugh. Pop a one in the chat if you're familiar with Rush Limbaugh. I should see ones flying all over the place. Rush Limbaugh is a man who is known now in conservative circles for, he's basically a kingmaker at this point, fam, right? You know where, right, unfortunately, Sherry, but you know where Rush Limbaugh got his start? Rush Limbaugh got his start on 1 or 2 radio stations. And what Rush Limbaugh's formula, fam, was simple. Rush Limbaugh would get on and broadcast 6, 8 hours a day. He'd take call after call after call let people talk about the subjects they wanted to talk about from a conservative or right-wing bent. Rush Limbaugh was a place where the people that think like him could get an opportunity to say whatever was on their mind. They wasn't censored. They wasn't told that they were wrong. They could address whatever topic they wanted to talk about. And he would feed on that and build on that and bring them more information and give them more of what they were looking for. That was his formula. That's what made Rush Limbaugh go from one little small radio station to being a conservative media personality and kingmaker. I, as your brother and one who loves you, your angry black sheep, am looking to provide us a place to do the same. And so with that in mind, I am going to put together the numbers and I am going to present a plan to you and ask for your support, a core of support that will get us started to create our own platform. It is going to be independent of YouTube. We are not going to have to worry about censorship. We are not going to have to worry about monetization. We're not going to have to worry about flags. We are going to have a place where 8 hours a day, you'll be able to call in and get content that speaks to you and your interests, that will talk about the topics that you want to address and hear the things that you need to hear for the betterment of you and yours. Be expecting that plan to come soon. And I'm going to tell you, fam, it won't be free, but it will be the best investment that you could ever make. And I'm going to make sure that I don't overrun. I'm not trying to get rich off of nobody or anything like that, right? I want to be able to provide a service. I want to provide something tangible for you. So be on the lookout for this plan. I'm going to put together the numbers. I'm going to make sure I do it right and be transparent. But I'm calling on you to consider being a core black sheep, to sign up and step up, to make that monthly commitment to help one of us become the voice of an entire people, to be able to share the space on the internet and airwaves and everywhere else. We can get a foothold for you to hear the content you need to hear, for you to get the information that you need to get. I want you to think on that tonight and see if you can find it in yourself to commit to something like that. Because, fam, it's time. It is long past time for us to have that for us. So, fam, with that, I want to thank all of you for your time. We had some great numbers tonight. I think we hit somewhere over the 90 mark. I want to thank people who didn't agree with me. I want to give them a shout out. I hope that even if you didn't agree, we were able to have a discussion that was suitable. I want to thank all of you who did agree. It's good to feel that I'm not alone. I'm sorry, fam, about the war of personalities. It was unnecessary, and it will be done when we're ready for it to be done and no sooner. So let's get back to work, right? Let's get back to the advocacy for those of us who are on the political advocacy tip. Let's get back to making our culture shine and uplifting our ancestors for those who are part of the culture side. There is no dissension between us. We are one people, one lineage, one tribe. And until the next time I speak with you, fam, as always, I wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power, real power to our people.